we ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is a very special meeting of council, and we want to welcome everybody here today. I will call this meeting to order, noting that we have quorum this afternoon, but we have two members who are missing, one who is away and one who is attending to family concerns this afternoon. So with that, we do have quorum, and I will ask you to join me in a moment of reflection as we consider the business of the corporation. Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest around the table? Noting that we can declare it. Yes, we have some? Okay. Okay, then we can declare tomorrow at the same time.
And to worship the Golden Heirs today.
Today, okay.
The Golden Heirs, reason being that I am their treasurer.
Okay, anyone else can declare at any time throughout the proceedings. And I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to move into Committee of the Whole, please. Councillor Kentner and Deputy Mayor. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and now we are here this afternoon to discuss the Community Bursary Awards and our presentations. I just want to explain, first of all, to those who are listening and to everyone here that this program was designed to recognize the importance of our community partners by providing ongoing financial support for the programs, services, and events that they provide to the residents of our municipality. This is the next version of the Community Grants Program, and it's different this year because the objective is to provide consistent funding to the successful organizations on an annual basis for the 4-year term of council, instead of the annual application process that we've had in the past. We hope this support will be leveraged by these groups to encourage additional funding opportunities and to also to encourage volunteerism. Recipients of this bursary must be a community group, a not-for-profit or a charitable organization operating within the municipality, and their programs and services must support the residents of our community and must demonstrate a direct economic or cultural benefit to our municipality. So over the next 2 days, Council will hear presentations from each group that has applied for a community bursary. There's $50,000 available per year for the next 4 years to be distributed to an increasing number of applications. We had over 37 this year. So all very worthy causes, but the requests totaled more than double the funding available. So we're going to have some tough decisions to make. Applications are evaluated on their contribution to the community, the promotion of the municipality's vision, values, and strategic priorities, and sound financial and organizational management, and the engagement of other sources of funding as well. Once the decisions have been made, the recipients will receive funding in each of the 4 years of Council's term. And halfway through the term, the successful groups will be invited to report to Council on how the funding is being used. So 10 minutes is available for each presentation, and that must include questions coming from Council as well, any that we may have. So we ask that you come forward and state your name and the organization with your presentation. And in the interest of fairness to all, we will please respect the allotted time of 10 minutes per group. So the decision of funding amounts will be made tomorrow afternoon once we've heard all of the presentations, and the resolution of Council will be prepared and presented about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll be at the end of all of the presentations tomorrow. So if you wanted to return at that time, you'll know at that time what the decision was. So welcome, everyone. We're most anxious to hear the presentations. We've all been through your applications. A lot of time and effort has been put into these. It's really very impressive to see the work that you folks do. We're very, very proud of the works that our community groups do, and we're anxious to hear what you have to say today. So with that, we will start off the proceedings here, and we have first up is Amy T. Akers with the project for backpacks. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about an initiative that I run at GBCS called the Backpacks for Learning program. I appreciate your time today, and I'm mindful that you have an ambitious agenda, so I thought that I'll tell you about the program and then allow you to ask questions at the end. I've lived in this area for my whole life, and for the last 17 years, I've lived in Meaford with my husband and my 3 kids. I'm an educator, and I've had the privilege of teaching at GBCS since 2002. I'm passionate about our community, and more specifically about the success and the well-being of youth in our community. I believe that the goals and the mission of my program align directly with the municipality's strategic planning goals and values. The Backpacks for Learning, in response, confided she didn't have enough food at home for the weekend, and that she often missed school or stayed home when they ran out of basic toiletries between paychecks. After giving this some thought, I wondered how many students' education or success at school was impacted negatively by socioeconomic circumstances that were beyond their control. At that time, I was the student success lead teacher at my school, and through this position, I had access to data and conversations that studied the links between these issues and student success. Essentially, a few things became clear to me. First, if students' basic needs are not met, whether it be food, toiletries, school programs like lunches, or even something simple like winter boots, then they're at a significantly higher risk of absenteeism, early leaving, which is dropping out before graduation, and disengagement in both school and community. Second, if we can find a way to address these basic issues and level the playing field by just controlling the variables that we can control, we can have a positive influence in the ability of these students to succeed. The program first started as a way for me to help that one student, and then it became a way to support many more students in our school. Every Friday, students anonymously pick up a backpack that has been filled with snacks, an easy-to-prepare meal, fresh fruit, and dairy. These backpacks help to get the students and often their siblings through the weekend, and then they return the backpack on Monday to be packed for the following week. Once a month, we send home toiletries. Right now, I'm supporting 15 families, over 20 students, but this number fluctuates in response to a need. The students in the program often have 1 or 2 working parents in a single or a 2-parent home. Occasionally, some students are living independently without a parent to rely on. Some need help every now and then, and some need weekly support. This year, we prepared 31 Christmas hampers, as the month of December can be very hard for families. When our school became a 4 to 12, I started to think about what might happen if we could address these needs earlier in a student's school career, and if we could increase his or her chance of success earlier and more significantly. So last year, with the help of an elementary teacher and an amazing EA at my school, we started to send weekly packs home with elementary students as well. After a teacher or an EA identifies a need, then I place a call home to see if help is needed and would be well received. This year, we are supporting 11 elementary students, in addition to the secondary students that I help. In the winter, we were able to help with boots, mittens, and coats when they were needed as a result of generosity from members of our community. The bottom line to me is that no student should ever stay home because he or she is hungry. No kid should find Friday a challenge because they anticipate a weekend without food security. No young girl should stay home because there's no feminine hygiene products to access. And no student should ever feel that someone should see that they have a need, but don't seem to notice. While there are a number of amazing services for, obviously it's something I'm passionate about. While there are a number of amazing services for families offered inside our community, like the Golden Town Outreach and a number of amazing church groups, this program acts as a scaffold, and it fills the gaps of some of these kids that fall through our cracks. In the beginning, I purchased these supplies with my own money and filled bags after school as they were needed. As I grocery shopped on weekends and in the evenings, but as students were added to the program, I started presenting to churches and service clubs and organizations who help to keep supplies running through one-time donations. In addition, there are a number of people in the community who donate things like peanut butter whenever they can, and that helps to reduce what needs to be purchased. This program has always been a labor of love for me, and in most recent years, I've tried to change and implement methods that would allow this program to have legs and continuity. The outpouring of support, financial and otherwise, from people and service clubs, churches and businesses, and organizations in the community has been incredible. As a result, I have never run out of funds that enable me to run the program. However, it's important to note that the program has no continuous funding and that it's been a constant hustle to ensure that I have enough money to keep things running. We have received grants in the past, but we have no grant applications submitted beyond the municipality currently. While I am willing to continue to work hard to secure the funding from different sources, after 7 years, it would be nice to know that there was some sort of permanent guaranteed source of funding for the next few years. I run the program, and in the last 2 years, I've added 3 volunteers who give their time to grocery shop for us. All funds donated to this program are deposited into a special backpack account at our school, and all expenses are run through this account. In this way, the finances of the backpack program are completely transparent, and people can be assured that 100% of the money that they donate to the program goes directly to kids. Because I have run the backpack program for the last 6 years through the school, every deposit and debit can be tracked, and I can pinpoint the actual costs of running the program to the dollar based on past practice and actual amounts. Currently, it costs roughly $1,400 a month to run this program as it is. That number includes weekly food packs, Christmas hampers, winter wear support, and a milk every day and a slice of pizza every week to elementary kids that are in the backpack program. This year during Christmas hamper time, over 35 individuals and groups from our community contributed to the creation of the hampers. I am always willing to work hard to combine these donations in creative ways to stretch our resources further. In conclusion, I would like to express my genuine thanks for your consideration of our program and for your commitment to the kids in our community. It's hard to provide exact numbers on the success of this program, but as an educator and a passionate social justice advocate, I can tell you that I get to see the results firsthand. Not every student who has passed through my program has graduated, but I can say without a doubt that the program has been the defining factor in so many successes. One mom says that her 2 boys only reached graduation in high school because of the support that they were given from this program. They are both working in our community now, and she made a financial donation to our program when she was back on her feet. 3 of the high school students who access the program regularly have gone on to university. 4 more are currently enrolled in college. Many who graduate are staying and working in our community, and their outlook and engagement in community has been positively affected by knowing that someone cared about whether or not they succeeded in school. Finally, one elementary student that I started helping informally 4 years ago before our schools amalgamated has blossomed into one of the most talented and kind young men in our school. In this case, the support provided came at a time of instability when he was most vulnerable and in need of help. This program has been at the heart of so many successes in school, and these successes turn into successes in our community. There is a real benefit to this project for our community. If a student is supported, then he or she is more likely to succeed in school and to graduate. If a student stays in school to graduation, the odds of him or her gaining employment increases, as does the benefit to our community. For many students, this initiative validates that there are people who care about them, and that is a very powerful thing indeed. Thank you for your time and your consideration of our program. Do you have any questions?
Yes, indeed. But first of all, Amy, congratulations to you, and thank you for what you are doing and for these young people, predominantly for seeing the need and for taking action to make sure that something happens to correct that. This is a very powerful message that you are sending to your students for sure, as a role model, as one who cares, and providing a need within our invisible population. Sometimes we don't see these folks who need the help, and to know that you're there and have found them is really, really very, very important message to send to all of us. So congratulations to you. Your passion is well spent, of course, and we all feel it. And I'm sure there are questions from council too. So we'll go around the table. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Amy. Did you say it was $1,400 a month you spend on this?
It is to run it the way we are doing it right now, with food security, toiletries. That also includes purchasing winter boots and jackets. In the beginning, the program ran at about half of that cost, just providing the food security. But as I'm able to secure more funding from different places, then I'm able to help them in different ways that increase their chance of being successful.
Thank you.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Amy. The request this year is considerably more than what we granted last year. Have you lost any supporters from the Meaford area over the past year? Is that?
Not specifically, no. All of the donations that we have received, with the exception, 2 years ago, we got a Blue Mountain Village Foundation grant, and that helped. Last year, we did not receive that grant. So most of the people that donate money or funds to the program or organizations, it's one-time donations. So I sort of go out and solicit them, and then when funds are running low again, then I go back to the different service clubs and community organizations and I ask again.
Okay, and if I may, now, United Way is into the backpack. Are you completely separate from
Yeah, the
from
United
their
Way is,
organization?
it's a separate initiative, and it happens in August. And what they do is ensure that each child that goes back to school in the province of Ontario has a backpack with school supplies in it. So we nicknamed ours the Backpack Program because it helped to make it anonymous. So kids will pop in to my classroom or the office, and they'll just pick up a backpack that's actually filled with food, but nobody else knows. So it's the same type of idea, but the United Way is once a year with school supplies, and this is just the food security and the toiletries once a week. And they return the backpack and we fill it again.
Any questions? We're out of time on this one. We're okay? Thanks very much, Amy.
Thank you very much.
And moving on to the second presenter, Chris Sari. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and it's great to see everyone again. I am here on behalf of Chris Sherry Presents and the Meaford BIA. It is a partnership that has existed for the last 4 years, and it was put together due to an idea I had to bring business and community down to our downtown core. That was the birth of the Meaford Summer Concert Series, which started in 2016. And the Summer Concert Series consists of 4 free concerts through July and August, down at the Midas Mart stage, where we close off the parking lot and invite people to bring down camp chairs. We supply some picnic tables and that sort of thing, and encourage them to bring non-perishable items for the Golden Town outreach, and enjoy an evening of music featuring both local young up-and-coming talent and then a headline band that follows that and plays between 7 and 10 p.m. There are a few things that benefits to the series. One, obviously, it brings business and attention to Meaford and downtown in specific, and it also gives young up-and-coming musicians an opportunity to perform on the big stage ahead of seasoned veterans. And it raises, we've raised hundreds of pounds of food for the food bank, and there have been a couple of occasions where we've also raised money for My Friend's House, which is a women's shelter based in Collingwood that also services Meaford and beyond. I'm just going to read from some notes here. So far this year, we have the commitment of the same sponsors we've had in the past, which include the Meaford Culture Foundation and the BIA, the Rotary, and then we have in-kind donations from various groups like Longa McQuaid and Bayshore Broadcasting and the Peak FM, food donations for the food bank, as I mentioned. And then we also have a big partner we picked up last year, which is RTO 7, Region of Tourism Ontario 7, which covers Grey, Bruce, and Simcoe. And they have some great programs that event organizers can take advantage of. And one of them is the Festival Improvements Program, where they will grant up to $2,500 worth of social media advertising to promote any events that bring tourism to the area. And last year I applied for that and qualified, and so there was 2,500, which is a big number as far as social media advertising goes. In the past, we've used some of the sponsorship dollars and spent maybe $500 to $600 in sponsorship dollars on social media. Last year, we had that budget plus $2,500 more in social media, which made a big difference. And you could see in the attendance, not only because it was the 3rd year running, but because of the social media really helped to brand the series, bring attention to Meaford, and so on. I'm here asking for I guess it's a bursary now, not a grant, and your continued support with the series. In the past, your support has been in part by covering some costs for a stage cover outside of the community grant program, and then your sponsorship through the grant program. So in putting those two costs together is where I came up with the amount that I'm asking for. One other thing I wanted to address, there was a great suggestion here a couple of times that I've been in front of you about the series, about passing the hat at the concerts. And I've given that some thought and brought it up at the last BIA meeting. And there were a couple of concerns. One which I had as well was if you're asking people to bring food for the or donations for the food bank, and we're asking them for donations, there may be some people that may not bring one or the other. So one of the things I'm working on is to add a donation button on the website and all the social media that we're putting out, where people will find out about the concert series, and then look at ways where we can present that at the concerts as well, without putting people in a position where they feel they may have to give a donation, as the concerts are free. I guess in closing, I want to thank you for your continued support. I think this year, more than any other year, the concert series is very important to bringing people downtown. Our bridge is under construction, and people are looking for ways to get around Meaford rather than come down and see what we're doing. The concert series is the only outdoor event that takes place, free event that takes place in our downtown core during July and August, and it attracts hundreds of people to each concert, and I think it's something that I would love to see continue with your support.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Bang on 5 minutes. Good for you. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Questions from council? I know this is a very, very popular event, Friday nights. Always look forward to it. Councillor Kentner.
Your Worship, just wondering, Chris, have you thought of any ways that you can really beat the bushes and make it special this summer, given that it is going to be hard to, or at least people seem to be trying to avoid the bottleneck at the bridge, you know, so they're skirting town a bit. Any ideas on how to just, you know, really make it a success and help the downtown businesses?
Yes, there's a couple of things that came up at the BIA meeting, actually, and one was to get the businesses involved more with having a presence down at the shows themselves. I understand that some businesses are closed during that time, and we've encouraged all the members of the BIA, and there's going to be a small group from the BIA that's going to reach out to businesses beyond the downtown core to have them come down and maybe set up a table at the concerts. But as you know, I'm always, it all depends on the final number that I get from sponsorship, but I'm always looking to get the most out of that money and bringing in the best entertainment and promoting it as best as we could. So continually working with the BIA and having all the businesses buy into promoting the series will help bring more and more people in. And I'll go into the Peak FM and Bayshore and do radio interviews and everything else, and I always welcome more and more people to help me promote it.
Thanks. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and great presentation, Chris. Love those concerts. Love seeing the little kids up dancing in front of the stage. Just thinking about this summer now that we have the Big Apple reopened, and wondering about what collaborations you might be able to make with the Apple in terms of getting it open during the evenings of the concerts, and utilizing that opportunity to make sure people are aware of which businesses are open and what times they're closing, and where the washrooms are and that sort of thing, if there's any collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce in that regard.
Again, at the last BIA meeting that we attended, was in a meeting that was called last week. Kim was there from the Chamber as well, and we discussed the Apple and how it on those days, it was a quick conversation because it was a long meeting and a lot of great ideas came up, but the thought was, and this was on the way back from the kitchen walking back to the Chamber, was to, on those Fridays, is to, from public information at the Apple and in every storefront promoting the series.
Okay. Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Chris. Chris, at your functions, there is a bar set up, is that?
No, there is not. If it's raining, we book the galleries at Meaford Hall. So they like it when it rains because we end up
terrace
renting.
room. The terrace room.
No,
Are you
well,
at
we
the
had to
terrace
use the
room?
terrace room once because there was an event going on up in the galleries.
Oh.
But usually it's the galleries because it can hold more people. So what happens on those evenings is we move it upstairs into the galleries or the terrace room, whatever is available, and then Meaford Hall is able to open their bar and they take the bar, so they
take the
benefit
bar.
from that.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Greenfield.
Sure, Worship. Thanks, Chris. You've maybe already thought of this, but you've got 4 concerts. I'm wondering about having a business or a group of businesses sponsor night 1, 2, 3, like different sponsors. Now, for a certain amount of money, get some, but then you would give them some advertising promotion during the concert. Tonight's entertainment is brought to you by. Have you
Well,
thought of that at all, or are you doing that? Maybe.
Well, the BIA is one of the sponsors, and that money comes from businesses already putting in, paying their dues to the BIA. So it's difficult to approach BIA members who have already done that and possibly support the Rotary and the Culture Foundation. However, with the BIA's help and Kim's help, we are looking at offering advertising opportunities to businesses outside of the BIA district, the BIA region, to try and raise some funding. Because even if you were to allocate the full amount I asked for, it would still be a tight go. We're going to make it work, but we're looking at that as well. Yes.
Thank you very much, Chris. Time's up on that.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we have Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Grey Bruce. And Andy? No, not Andy.
I'm sorry, Andy could not be here.
All
My name
right.
is Lloyd Moore, and I'll be
Okay.
speaking for Andy if I could.
Well, welcome, Lloyd.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor and councillors, thank you for this opportunity to come before you today and make our presentation. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Grey Bruce is, in some respects, relatively new. We began about 4 months ago. Prior to that, we had Big Brothers Big Sisters in Owen Sound. Prior to that, we had Big Brothers in Owen Sound. As you can tell, some changes have occurred, and in a very short period of time. In the last 3 years, we went from an organization, they went from an organization that existed primarily for the mentoring of littles, we call them littles, of children and youth in Owen Sound. The mentoring concept is an idea that's basically based on individual children sometimes have an adult piece missing in their lives. Often it's a single parent or 2 parents missing and grandparents raising children. Sometimes both parents are available, but children are not able to see them all the time, or in fact they're just simply a single child. They're missing that sibling connection. Whatever the case may be, in recent terms, where we're now looking at children from families that are new to Canada, and they don't have the exposure to Canadian life, and so they can gather that through this program. The changes that have occurred are the changes from both Big Brothers to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. That was a major change. The idea was that there used to be a Big Sisters program, and it dissolved, and so the Big Brothers decided they wanted to become a national and both genders organization. But it takes volunteers, it takes time, and it takes effort. The next move, with that move, there was a large grant that was achieved through the Trillium Foundation, and that allowed the organization to really get off the ground. From 6 youth 3 years ago, we're now servicing 93. And that's a huge jump. It requires a lot of resources, and those resources are not just financial. They are recruits, volunteers, all of which are volunteers. We do have 1 paid staff member, She's our caseworker. But all the rest of it is done by volunteers, especially the mentors. They are all volunteers, and they have to go through screening and training and so forth, and then the matching process, and that requires a lot of funds. What we're looking at now is as soon as the message went out that Big Brothers Big Sisters did exist, the calls started coming in, and we were getting calls from all communities throughout Grey and Bruce. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, we did have to turn them down because we didn't have the resources to do that. At the same time, we didn't like doing that. At this point in time, we have matches and programs running in Wyerton, in Southampton. We've had inquiries from Flesherton. We have one match in Markdale, and we now have programs and matches in Meaford. The Meaford Association actually came in a time when Big Brothers Big Sisters, Georgian Triangle, who used to cover this area, contacted us and asked us if we'd be interested in taking on Meaford. Trying to be a good neighbor and a good citizen, we said, sure. At that time, they had one match in Meaford. We felt it was easy for our caseworker to come and cover Meaford. Since then, there's been an interest in what is called the in-school mentoring program. And that's the program really that where we're finding our most success and where we're looking for additional funding. The in-school mentoring program essentially takes what normally takes place in the community and puts it in the schools. The school board, the Blue Water School Board, has been extremely helpful and is on board with the program. The schools are available to us. So they provide the facility, they provide the children and the time, and we provide the mentors. We also provide any of the resources that the mentors will be using. So the mentors that go into the schools are trained exactly the same way as our normal community mentors are. They're screened, and then they're matched up with children. The difference is, of course, once a week, they go into a school during a time that's convenient for the child, for the school, and for the mentor, and they spend an hour. And they spend an hour doing whatever they'd like to do. They can be out in the playground playing ball. They can be if there's a kitchen facility, they can be in the kitchen cooking. They can be doing crafts. They can be in a music room, doing whatever the mentor and the child like to do. And the schools are quite happy to entertain that with us. What we've found is over the years, we've been doing this for 2 years in Owen Sound. We're doing it in 8 schools in Owen Sound. 43 different children are being mentored in the schools in Owen Sound. As I indicated, we have 8 in Meaford at this point in time. It generally costs us about $1,500 a year to run an in-school mentoring program. That's per school. And so we're looking at the 2 schools, and we have programs in both schools here in Meaford. We also have a list of children that don't have mentors yet in Meaford. But again, that's a matter of simply getting the message out. That's a matter of training and finding those mentors and making sure that we can try and match up the children that do need and are looking for that kind of a situation here. Ultimately, we like to see the in-school program feed into the community program, and if a good match is made in the school, then those children and those adults often go their own way and become a community match, which then they go wherever they like and do whatever they please. It's a very...
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up so we can get some questions in here from you.
Absolutely, certainly. I'm pretty much at an end. I want to thank you for it. I think that the program is thinking ahead. In Big Brothers Big Sisters, we like to think that the children are being mentored to become better community members in the future. There's all kinds of evidence, there's all kinds of studies and numbers that I could throw out to you, but we feel it in our hearts that it's the best thing that anybody could do for a community is to try and make sure that those children are being shown a bright future.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Questions from council? I'll ask the first one then. How many children do you have on a waiting list in our municipality?
I can't answer that directly. I'm guessing there was a bunch of numbers that I was fed. I'm sorry. Somewhere between 10 and 20.
as a waiting list for, in this mentoring
For the two
prog-
schools here in Meaford, yes.
for the mentoring program or for matches?
No,
Or-
for mentoring, for the in-school mentoring program, yes. Yeah.
And are there any for matches?
No, we haven't gotten that far yet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and we really don't know which of those ones for the in-school program may in fact want to go to a community match. We have one community match in town at this point, but that's the only one that's come forward for that.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I'm just curious to know how you go about finding the matches. Do they often come to you? People step up and volunteer people to come forward and support as big brothers and big sisters?
Sure. So a little bit of both. We have a Facebook page. We advertise as much as we possibly can. There are, whenever there are events, we often try and have a table set up, an information booth, Canada Day events, anything that would have children or families at, we try and have an information booth set up. Yeah, I think that's really it. We talk to various service clubs, trying to promote our organization. We have businesses that we've approached, and we have a number in Owen Sound where we advocate that they give their employees time off during the day as part of their work day to spend 1 hour a week to be a mentor. We have 2 organizations in Owen Sound that actually do that. In fact, 3. The city of Owen Sound does that. They have 4 employees that go off to the schools for an hour during the day, once a week, and they're mentors. And we have an insurance company, and we have one other company as well. So it's approaching as many people as we possibly can.
Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy, or Councillor Greenfield?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Lloyd. So this is more than just about education, just reading, writing, and arithmetic. This is about social skills, community skills also.
Correct. In fact, it's not supposed to be about reading, writing, and math. Our mentors are informed that doing the homework for the child is not one of the things that they should be doing during this hour. That's right. That's a parent's responsibility. It is. It's about social event. It's about a sense of simply ensuring that they have a role model more than anything else. Somebody that's willing to listen to them, somebody to talk to if they're worried about bullying, somebody to talk to if they're worried about sexuality. All of these mentors are trained in all of these things. They go through a fairly extensive training program with us. And they know the limits. They know when they can talk to a child about a certain thing and when they should be saying to the child, sorry, you should be talking to your mom or your dad or your grandma or your caretaker and making sure that they don't overstep their bounds. But it's about preparing these children to be good citizens.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to Wagner Canada Day Committee, and we'll welcome Gary Shue. Oh, okay, that helps. It's difficult. I hate to cut it off if everybody's... Yeah, exactly. Well, we're managing a little, I think we're okay here for... Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor Klumpus and councillors. It's my first time making a presentation in front of you, and last year I was supposed to do this, and I was an hour and a half away driving my truck at work. So anyways, on behalf of the Wagner Canada Day Committee, we have appreciated your support over the years. This is our 40th year, and unfortunately, we aren't doing anything special. We should be, but we aren't. And we put on an evening on July the 1st of music, games, and Lloyd Moore is our entertainment this year. That's great.
Looks like he's gone.
Anyways, so him and I have talked, but not met each other face to face. Anyways, we send out sponsorship letters to approximately 50 businesses, and we get a flyer that we send out, and on this one, which was last year's, there are 43 businesses that helped us to put on this evening of entertainment. We have the music, as I said. We have games for adults and children. We do close off 2 blocks of the County Road 29 in Bogner, so that anybody and everybody can cross to the community center for what goes on over there, which is coffee and tea and Canada Day cake and cupcakes and stuff like that, and the washrooms, because there is none at the park. The rest of it, most of the stuff goes on in the park. The Intertownship Fire Department brings out a couple of their vehicles and several of their members, and they enjoy taking the kids around and whatnot. There are games inside the park for all ages. Steve really enjoyed our foosball one in the first year he was there. Anyways, we have appreciated your support over the years that we have been getting financial support from you, and our evening expense. Our evening expenses are somewhere over $8,000. So between our sponsors, our gate, we charge an admission fee. Anything inside the gate is free. We do not make money. We basically break even, give or take $100, whatever. We have a bank account, and that's only because one year, about 15 years ago, it poured and it poured. And we tried to do it the next weekend, and it poured and it poured. And our sponsors, when approached and saying, what do I do with this? I'm going to send the money back, said, keep it. So that has put us into stable, where you're not worrying about where your next dollar is coming from. And we don't use that. If we have money, we will do something at the park or for the community center. And we have done both over the years. So we have. Most of you, other than Ross, you're a new member on council, so you haven't, but everybody else, and Paul has not been there, but everybody else on the council over the years has come out and supported us and knows what goes on. It's a great evening of entertainment. I thank you very much.
And wonderful fireworks. And you have a significant attendance, 700 at one time?
We are in the 650 to 700. We don't know exactly because we charge a $10 per family fee. That could be 2 people, and or it could be 6 people. We don't. So it's just a ballpark of looking over there, and one other, the Walters Falls Classic Car Night. They put on a display for us too. So they do. They're all the ones that are local within 5 or 10 miles of Bogner and Walters Falls. Our sponsorship base is from Meaford to Owen Sound to Chatsworth and Markdale. That's the circle. They're all small businesses, or most of them are all small businesses, and this list of people gets announced a couple of times, and we have a display board inside the gate of our park that has all these people on, and we certainly ask anybody that deals with them to say thank you.
Thank you, for sure. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's always a great night. Canada Day is exciting to celebrate wherever we are. So, questions? Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Gary. It's a super show. The fireworks get bigger and better every year, and it's such a great community event. Northeast, southwest, upper, lower Bogner, doesn't matter where you come from. Your family and friends are there for the celebrations. This is maybe just a little bit off target, but I understand there are some shingles that have been lifted from the little pavilion in the park. Did you know about that?
I have not.
Well, no, I've heard that rumor.
Okay.
I won't say where I heard it from, but maybe you could look into that and just let us know.
I can do that for you.
I don't think it's going to affect the evening, but
No.
check it out.
Well, it's been a few years since they were put on, so, and our band uses that, our entertainment uses that pavilion for the stage, so if it's windy,
it out.
we get tarps up for them, and as I said, it's got to be pouring rain for us not to put it on. And there are other people that help out. There is a series of ladies in the kitchen who have done it for, I would say, the 40 years it's been on. And Gord Harris of Grey Bruce Coatings has put off the fireworks for 40 years. He's
Great community spirit down there. for
well,
sure.
we try.
You sure do, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You so much for your presentation, and
Thank you.
we'll move on. Thank you. Okay, so our next one is Christchurch Anglican, and we welcome Fayard.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you again for receiving us in the Harvesters celebration set up for Christchurch. Once again, we're asking for your support, and thank you. Last year you came and served dinner for us, and it was great. This year we're trying to evolve the dinner. It won't be a dinner anymore, we don't think. It'll be a celebration. We're trying to go outdoors and try and make it earlier in the year. We got some feedback last year from the harvesters that a lot of harvesters found it difficult to get to the event because that time of year is very busy with apple picking. And so we're now have a committee that we're getting together to try and find out if we can make it in September when they actually come back. The lion's share of the guys come back around about mid-September or early September to start picking, and they're not as busy at that time of the year. So we're trying to make this a change in the event in that way to be able to appreciate the harvesters better. It is a harvesters appreciation dinner, and we're thinking it can now be evolved to have an outside appreciation day. Further to that, what's been happening over the last few years is that some of the harvesters have been coming from Thornbury. So we're now going to form a committee of 3 churches, one here, our Christ Church, and 2 churches in Thornbury, to expand the celebration across both townships. So we may have to do 2 days of celebration. We don't know what the setup is going to be yet, but this is an evolving thing here in a way that I've organized this the last 2 years, and what I'm seeing is that the community has heart really to appreciate the harvesters. And a lot of people came out last year, 350 people for dinner, and you can tell by the response that people really care and want to appreciate harvesters, and they certainly like to be appreciated. So it seems that this could be a thing from Meaford that's going to involve in an appreciation of harvesters in Georgian Bay community, really. When you think about Thornbury, Meaford, we even have some people from 2 years ago from Owen Sound, and I'm sure there's people even further than that. So it's going to be difficult, but we're trying to evolve this appreciation out of Meaford's heart to the community at large of harvesters in the area. So we're really right now would be Thornbury, Meaford. Maybe down the road we can expand it further, but we're asking for your support again. Most of the money, of course, that we get, we do get funding from other areas, from the BAC, the Brother of Anglican Churchmen, from the church, and from the Rotary. And the money usually that we get from council here goes towards the entertainment. So
The steel bands.
the steel band is our biggest expense right now.
What does that cost? What does that cost?
$1,300, and they haven't raised their fees in 3 years, and they're well worth it because the community really enjoy them. The other ask I'm going to have, and I'm probably going to have to come back and talk to council, is that I foresee that we could have a Harvesters Day proclaimed every year around this time. I've already talked to the mayor in Thornbury, and he's on board with something like that. I'm not sure what the setup is in Meaford to be able to do that, but this is the evolving appreciation to be able to have a day that can say would be something, I think.
Super. Thank you very much, Favor.
I've always really enjoyed that event, the mayor and I. So glad to know you would still be having. It would be outdoors at. I'm trying to get at the expenses. There would still be.
Be more, not dinner, but more like, or getting the community restaurants and like food stations that people can go and purchase food. We're not sure what the format's going to be yet, but we're now just starting the committee to see how that will all come together.
Your worship, fair, so it's too soon probably to ask then if you would still have your donation jar. I know it.
I think we would still have one of the big topics to show donation, because they have in the past. It would probably be located in different areas where you know, garner all the good things. We want to try and keep some of the good. It's going to be a lot more managed things, but.
Terrific. Well, good luck with that. Thank
Okay.
you so much for your presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Christchurch Anglican again. I don't see Louis, I see others. Welcome.
Apparently Louis couldn't make it today.
You couldn't make it, so
We'll let David
you're
start.
stand-ins.
Yeah, we're standing. Yeah, so we got a buddy act going. Penhale, this is Christchurch. The venture we've supported for about a year. Was planned with it. Try to answer any questions. My wife and I are relatively recent. It was because of the cultural amenities, and so it's and to increase the rate. Now back at the stage of life, so I'm a returnee and quite happy to be back in Meaford and checking out the high school where I went, and it's been a great community, and I love how it's developed over the years. So we'll continue with David here. Yep. So the concert series. I want to say first that Meaford is acquiring a reputation as a center of the arts, and I think that's really important as one of the arrows in the quiver for this community. The series is a monthly concerts held at the church on Sunday afternoons throughout the year. And I think and hope that everyone has seen our building. It's a beautiful historic church. It's a living building. It's not a monument. And it has excellent acoustics. And we see the concerts, among other things, as a way to share our building with the wider community, because I think that's important that our heritage be shared and living. The series is designed to appeal to people of all ages and the general public. It's not a church event. It's a concert series. Began more than a year ago. It features a variety of musical genres. So far we've had jazz musicians and vocalists, classical pianists and violinists, and choral groups. Performers have included artists with local roots, such as Patricia Wheeler, a jazz musician, and we really hope to provide a venue for local musicians, people who are actually live in the community. We also aim to support young artists. For example, we've had the Ezra Duo, who are young classical musicians, and they've won prizes. They've performed at Kerner Hall. They've performed in Britain and Europe. They've been with us twice, and they consider us a supporting friend. So we see that as part of what we do. I'll turn it over to Mark to talk about the business end.
Thank you, David. And don't worry, we're going to have a succinct business plan here, and you have lots of time for questions. So thank you for letting me speak. So the concert program
that we have over the last year, it aims to take an area of a music genre that is not usually presented in Meaford, i.e. the Meaford Hall, which tends to take bigger venues and bands, etc. So we're looking to grow the diversity of music in Meaford. So what we've done with this is the music is open to all the public, and of course it opens up our community building, which we have as a resource. It draws people from the last year. We've seen from Owen Sound, from Collingwood, from the town of the Blue Mountains. So it's not just a Meaford event. And the people we've met at these concerts, we've often seen them in the restaurants in downtown at Fran and Joe's, etc. So it has some nice benefits. Where we have found that our advertising has been done through Facebook, through posters around town, and of course word of mouth, is we often get comments at the concerts. Well, if we had only known earlier about these concert series, we would have come out. So we're looking, and that's what our ask here today is, we're looking for some money to help us to go on to actually put paid announcements on radio, in the paper, and we need some core money for that, because as much as we raise funds for ourselves and our church, we have a lot of programs on, and we're always looking for partnerships as well, so that we can do things together with the municipality, i.e. like our labyrinth. So audiences have so far been about 15 to 50, depending on the music program. And we have room to grow, and we really think that it will certainly enhance Meaford, and we look forward to your support. Any questions?
Thanks so much. Councillor Kentner.
Yes, through your worship, it's very interesting to me because Meaford United launched its first concert series last night. So, but
That's wonderful, yes.
how are you directing your proceeds going forward? Do you have a plan, and could you just explain to me how you're using the proceeds?
Do you want to?
Well, I start, sure. We, for one thing, we pay the performers, and any excess funds, the idea is to bring our instruments up to a professional performance standard, including the sound system. So we have a venue that's professional.
But right now, we maintain all our organs and our piano and all instruments. This would be only if it's needed for the performer. We charge only $20 because we want to open it up to everyone in the community. So we tend not to have, we try to run it very, slim margin. So it's not meant to make huge amount of money.
That also includes a receptionist, I recall.
Yes, we do wine and cheese afterwards, and that's donated. We're a volunteer organization, and we certainly, work hard with everyone in the community to make this accessible. That's the big thing. It's got to be accessible.
Deputy Mayor.
Your Worship, thank you, and thank you for your presentation, David and Mark. I'm just wondering, when you do your promotion, your marketing, do you include the beautiful windows, and is that a tool to help you attract more people to the concerts, is building awareness for those incredible Anglican windows?
You know what? We have a room on the committee for you. We always use those windows as leverage as much as possible, because they are a wonderful history of Meaford. And but there's only so much you can do with those, because people, if they're interested in music, want to know about the music program, and the more we can get that word of mouth out and get a reputation that we have this great concert series, which we're obviously going to reach out to the United Church and go, hey, why don't we work together? That's where we want to go. The more partnerships, the better.
Just one quick question, Mark and David. I'm just wondering if there's, because I see a natural partnership here with the music program at GBCS, in terms of Patrick Delaney's program. There's a lot of wonderful classical musicians who've come through that program. Mm-hmm. And this might be something that, was just another enticement, because students bring their parents, as part of your concert series.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. And we really want to support local musicians.
Of course, they're our future.
Yes,
Thank you so much. Any further questions? Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. And the next one we have, going here, is Crime Stoppers.
Good afternoon. My name is
Welcome.
Peter Reed.
Hi, Peter.
I'm the
Welcome.
Chairperson of Crime Stoppers of Grey Bruce, and thank you for allowing me to address you today. In Grey Bruce alone, Crime Stoppers tips have resulted in $49 million in drugs seized and almost $4 million in stolen property recovered. In doing that, we have authorized $260,000 in reward payments. Crime Stoppers of Grey Bruce is a registered charity and operates with a single paid administrator and a modest one-room office and is overseen by a volunteer board of directors. It uses these board members and its volunteers for its fundraising, community education events, as well as promoting the Crime Stoppers program. We are asking every municipality within our area for a commitment of $2,500 per year. This, along with our other fundraising efforts, will assure that Crime Stoppers continues in its important role. And that's all I got. Do you have any questions?
Okay. Short and sweet. Thanks for that. Councillor Kentner first.
Peter, in the application, it sort of indicates that unless you get the support that you require from each and every municipality, there's a grave danger of Crime Stoppers folding.
We are struggling. I have, in the last several weeks, been through to 8 police service boards, and we have been well received. Through the indications we've had so far, there is funding coming from other municipalities. I just actually received an email as I was walking in here from North Bruce Peninsula. I'm pretty confident in saying that the program's going to continue. And as one other municipality who kind of asked the same question, if we give you this money, then you close. Well, if we're going to close, we're not going to accept the money. We wouldn't take the money and then just shut down.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Peter. I remember a couple of years ago when we were debating about the amount of support from this municipality, we found that most other municipalities were giving you in the area of a $500 donation. And are you able to share with us at this time generally what the average is from of support from other areas?
North Bruce just gave us 1,000. I haven't talked to them any further on that. Saugeen Shores and Kincardine have both given us 1,000 this year, but both have said they're going to add us to their budget for next year for ongoing support. Grey Highlands is looking at adding us for next year on their budget for support. Hanover is seeing what they can do now and again onto next year's budget. So the response has been there. Kincardine and both Saugeen Shores gave 1,000 this year, with promises of more down the road.
Anything further? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, next up is the Electric Eclectics. Gordon Monahan. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me to present our festival. And thank you for the ongoing support that we've been receiving over the last number of years. Just to fill you in generally about our festival, this is our 14th annual year. We present a 3-day music and art festival at our farm on Scotch Mountain, which consists of approximately 25 concert performances by either groups or solo or duo configurations. In addition, some exhibitions which are based on experimental sound, music, and sometimes visual and media art, sometimes interactive, depending on the particular artist that might be presenting. So we have 8 to 10 of those types of exhibitions on site every year. And then additionally to the live performers, we have some DJs filling in during the concert
period, as well as late at night for those who want to stay up late. We have a dancing area out in the back forest, which well away from the camping area. And now that I've mentioned camping, most of the attendees stay over and camp on the property. Attendees will stay anywhere from 1 to 3 days, usually. Although we do have some attendees coming from further away, from New York City, and some attendees coming from Europe who will typically stay for a week or more in the area. So it's been, last year our total attendance was a little over 1,200 attendees. These include performers, volunteers, staff, and guests of the performers. So not all of the 1,200 attendees are paid attendees. They're not all buying tickets, but our ticket sales do run up above, last year was over $22,000 in ticket sales, which comprises about 35 to 40% of our overall budget. So the rest of our funding comes from the Ontario Arts Council and Department of Canadian Heritage. We're on long-term, multi-year funding from both of those granting agencies, and that core funding was increased from the Ontario Arts Council last year to this year, which will be $13,200 from Ontario Arts Council, whereas the previous years we have been receiving $11,800. And our annual funding from Canadian Heritage is $15,000. Last year, the municipality gave us $1,650. Previous years it had been coming in at $1,500. So last year we received a 10% increase. The proposal this year was for $2,000 in funding, if that would be at all possible. And you can see that there's a breakdown into 4 categories where we would be spending that funding. We're increasing our artist fees every year, trying to bring in more higher profile artists, which presumably will result in increasing our ticket sales and attendance. So we're asking for $800 to help support that. The overall artist budget is, if you combine the artist fees, the travel costs, the per diem, which consists primarily of feeding the artists over the 3-day festival. We have a backstage area. We bring in caterers, and last year we spent on that alone $3,800 to feed 50 to 80 people. That includes staff, volunteers, and artists over the 3-day festival. And then the other expenses we're asking to help offset would be equipment rental costs, a portion of advertising, and a portion of accommodation for artists. So this year we're renting a house downtown for some artists through Airbnb. And we have been, some of that additional accommodation is going towards just general expenses of, as I mentioned, per diem and so on.
Great.
So,
Thank you for the presentation.
thank you.
Questions? Councillor Kentner?
Through your worship, I noticed you've got about $8,000 in staff salaries.
Yes.
So are these people that you hire specifically for the weekend?
Well, that 8,000 is going towards our part-time staff, excuse me, which up to last year consisted of 3 part-time. I'm one of them. I'm the director of the festival. My wife is artistic coordinator, and up until last year we had an assistant director
who helped found the festival. He's departed the festival as of last fall to pursue his PhD studies at University of Guelph. So we're filling him in this year by divvying up his previous responsibilities, which were running our website, doing a lot of our social media, helping to basically produce and manage the three-day festival on the weekend, and coordinating our volunteers and so on. So we're dividing those tasks into, I've taken on sort of a lot of the website and social media things, and I've always been one organizing the main festival. In any case, so that 8,000 covers our part-time wages over the course of the year. And then we spent an additional 2,600 on production and technical staff. So those would be someone who runs the stage management, someone who's doing the sound technician, someone who is helping to, for instance, we have to prepare the site in advance. We might need to hire someone in to help repair part of the stage and whatnot. So overall, our staff, technical staff, production staff, and staff salaries came in over 10,600 last year.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. A comment, if I may. I came out to Electric Eclectics last year because I'd been curious about what it was about, and the staff person who met me at the sign-in booth was so very kind and very pleased to have a councillor come out and see the event. So my son and I went and had a terrific time. And what I like about what you're doing, Gord, is I think through the genre of music that you're presenting, that you're attracting a group of primarily young people to Meaford who might not otherwise find Meaford, who might not otherwise have occasion to come and explore this area. And so I really support what you're doing because of that. You're bringing young people to Meaford, and this council wants to attract youth and young people and young families to Meaford, and you're doing that through your music. So I commend you for what you're doing out there.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that you came last year. I noticed because every year when people arrive, the part of the ticketing processing, we ask people to sign a waiver of so they won't sue us if something happens. We do have insurance, of course, as well. But part of that waiver involves asking people to write down their address and their email address. So I was aware that you attended, although I didn't see you personally at the festival. Thank you.
Gord, can you tell us, is there some mechanism to recognize the contribution of the municipality to your event? How does that happen?
Yeah, on the posters and flyers, we acknowledge the support of the municipality, and on our website, we do as well. We have a sponsors page, we have a logo, the Meaford municipal logo, and text. So for instance, we haven't printed our poster yet this year, but we printed off postcards, and we have on the back municipality support listed there.
Super.
I'll leave some of these
Okay.
for you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Have fun this summer.
Thanks
Good
a
luck
lot.
with the festival.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, up is a Free Spirit Forest and Nature School. Kim Simpson, do we have Kim Simpson here? Hi, Kim. Welcome.
Thanks. So my name's Kim Simpson, and I'm the principal of Free Spirit Forest and Nature School, which is a relatively new nature-based community program for local children. So just want to thank you for your time and your consideration for the municipality's community bursary, and I'm really grateful to be here today. With me representing Free Spirit Forest and Nature School is Jenny Elmsley. She's the owner and director of Free Spirit Tours, which is a successful business operating in southern Jordan Bay for the last 20 years. So Free Spirit Forest and Nature School is a community-based program that provides outdoor education and experiential programs for children ages 4 to 11. Our vision is for each child to connect to nature in a meaningful way, where we understand that play and learning are synonymous. And our program complements traditional school or alternative education as students join us for 1 day a week, and we spend the majority of our day outdoors, immersed in nature, regardless of the weather, where learning is unhurried and we follow the child's lead. We strongly value connection to self, connection to others, and connection to the land. And while our program has had tremendous success with our students, and we have received incredible transformative feedback from both families and teachers, we do recognize that there's a financial barrier to attending our program, and that is not accessible to all students, and perhaps students who might need it the most. So program cost is $55 plus HST per day. In the upcoming fall session in 2019, it's a 15-week session, and the total is $932.25. So we are applying for the Meaford Community Bursary with hopes of obtaining consistent funding to help support our student enrollment and ensure that more families have access to our unique experiential program, regardless of their financial situation. If selected, 100% of the received bursary would go directly to supplementing full or partial registration for our Meaford program. And so a little bit about our forest school. We have been successfully operating in Collingwood since 2015, and that started out as just 1 day, 2 days a week, and now we are Monday to Friday with over 70 students. And in 2019, our upcoming school year, we will become a nonprofit. We're just in the middle of that, and we can't do that right now until this season ends. So we're waiting until the end of June. So we began our Meaford expansion just this past spring, so March 20th. It runs March 20th to June 20th, and it's a small-scale program, and it's just running out of my home on 328 Miller Street, and there's some neighboring woodlots too. And we have 5 children, and they come 1 day a week. So we believe that our Forest and Nature School program will thrive here in Meaford. And depending on our registration, would be interested in leasing space from the municipality to support our growing program in the future. So by supporting our Meaford Forest and Nature School, the municipality would be investing in future caretakers of the earth, stewards of our community, attracting young families to the area, and directly impacting the children's overall well-being. Our Meaford School has only been running since the middle of March, as I mentioned, and all of these families have already re-registered for the fall 2019. Free Spirit Forest and Nature School is an incredible opportunity for young children, and we truly believe that Meaford is the right community for this program to grow. And I just want to leave you with a quote that one parent had said about their child when asked if they would be returning in the fall. And again, this is just after 11 weeks or 11 programming days. So she said, "We would love to sign our child up again for Meaford Forest School in the fall. He really loves his Wednesdays, loves to come home and share with us what he's learned, and I can see a light in him that I've never seen before. We can't thank you enough." So I just want to thank you for your consideration and for Free Spirit for the Community Bursary Program. I know it's kind of a new program, so if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Kim. It's obviously a passion, and
Yes.
that must have been very heartwarming to get that kind of a response
Yeah.
from your program. Can you give us a typical example of where you have this activity and what kind of thing you would do?
Yeah, so our program runs during school hours, so it's 8:45 to 3:30, and again, they come 1 day a week, so they would miss either their homeschool or alternative education or miss a day of regular programming. And so a typical day is like gathering a morning circle, doing a big feelings check where we're at, sort of setting our objectives and intention for the day, doing land acknowledgements, and then we head off on a little bit of an adventure. So at my space, My neighbor's space, they back onto a bit of a woodland, so we will spend time in there building shelters or just playing in nature, fairy houses, fairy gardens. And on my property, we'll build fires and practice some more primitive or some land-based learning, I suppose. So the essence of forest school is just that connection with land and more exposure and repetitive experience in the same space. Yeah. Did
Have
that
you
answer-
connected with the school board in terms of integrating some kind of a program into their programs? Or?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
good
how this
question.
impacts the child being out of the normal
Yeah.
school board program?
Yeah, so again, we're new to this area, but Simcoe County has really embraced our program and suggested for a lot of their students in terms of whether it's breaking up their week, or some students need that break and other students are really high achievers and need to take on as many extracurricular activities as possible. So it seems to be a great complement, and we've only had positive feedback from principals and teachers and families. There was one for a young learner who was 4 and was in a French immersion program, and they didn't speak French at home, and so that was one piece that didn't really fit in missing school. And in terms of connecting with schools, we will bring out whole classes. Again, forest school is more about repetitive exposure, so with that, the idea would be like a 6-week program where the whole class would come, and it would be basically an outdoor ed day. And then with the Pursuits program here in Meaford, we've had them come and shadow, very interested in our program, and so they've come for a week-long shadowing, basically, experience, and that was really well received for us and for them too. So I look forward to that kind of partnership in the future.
Great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Kim, for this presentation. I know one of the couples who have children in your school, and they absolutely rave about it. They just, they love it. And I'm curious to know, with the funds that you're requesting, would that allow you then to offer a second day of schooling, or would that just increase the number of children able to take that one day? And what age restrictions would there be? I know this couple told me, gave me an example about recipe, if you were baking cookies and all of the math lessons and so on, and the science that could come out of working through one recipe, which their kids really loved. So I'm just, anyway, curious to know about how you would utilize that funding to expand the program.
Great question. I think it would be like depending on registration. So we would maybe open 2 days and see what kind of interest there are. So right now we have 5 students. So if we could have another staff, which we have a large staff team in Collingwood who would be willing to come to Meaford, absolutely. And so if most parents would like to register for Wednesdays, then we would, there's something about community, and we would have a capacity of 13 students probably, because that still allows for like a tight community, but also keeps that small ratio, and that's something that's really important with forest school. The idea and how it worked at our Collingwood location was we had one full day, and when that was full with 2 staff, 13 children, then we opened a second day. So having, I guess the bursary would allow more registration, so another staff to come in on the same Wednesday, and potentially opening up another day as well. Yeah.
Councillor Kentner.
Through your worship, Kim, I noticed that you don't appear to have any other sponsorships or partnerships. Do you have some that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so in full transparency, the Meaford program doesn't have any, because it's such a new program. We have done our own fundraising, so to speak, through our Al's Legacy program, who was basically he was an old staff with Free Spirit, and so to represent him and his love for nature and for children through our Al's Legacy, we've done small scale fundraising, and then that has been helpful in supplementing partial registration for Collingwood. And as of now, I think switching over to becoming a nonprofit will help us in terms of connection with more grants and more opportunity for that, and also connecting more with school boards, because there seems to be a bit of a gap when you're working with a business versus working with the nonprofit piece too. So yeah, that's our hope. Yeah, thanks.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Jim. When it comes to outdoors and little people, I naturally think of the Great Salt Conservation Authority, and I was just wondering if you've had any, just a chat with them, and you might get some more ideas, and you can exchange a few ideas with the folks over at Grace Harbor. I think they're both kind of maybe aiming in the same direction.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I haven't yet spoke with them directly. Yeah, so that would be a great thing for me to do. Thanks.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Kim. I personally am an outdoorsman. I spend as much time as possible outdoors. I think it's a great thing to introduce to kids. This program is actually like a daycare, and you have paid positions in this system?
Yes, so we're technically a private school. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so to be nonprofit, you would have to not show a profit at the end of the year, is that correct?
Yes, and so I imagine nonprofit is new to me, but I imagine any kind of profit just gets cycled back into our program, right, in terms of equipment and then hopefully supplementing more registration fees as well.
Okay.
That would be our goal.
But you don't have that designation yet? And
No, we don't.
When are you hoping for it again?
Well, we have to wait until the end of the school year, so by the end of June.
End of June?
Yeah.
And then you apply, or you
Yes.
have applied for it?
We have applied. We're in the midst of it right now. Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank
I
you.
just can't sign over all the papers until this ends. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very
Great.
much for your presentation, and good luck with this.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay. And next up, we have the Georgian Bay Coyotes Track Club, and welcome, Dr. Hooper.
Good afternoon. Mayor
Welcome.
Klumpus, council members, good to have you. Good to be back here again. We are seeking support for our 9th annual Coyote Cross Country Race, which is held on the Craft Show weekend, September 28. Just as a bit of a background for this race, back when my wife was a young girl, the Flushington Split Rail had this race. And it's been going on for like 50 years or so. And when that came to an end, we took it over 9 years ago. So we've been taking that on, and our numbers were getting, actually we're capping it in the past at 400 athletes coming in each year. We're now upping that to 500 based on our cross-country race provincials we held last fall, which I think you guys are all aware of. We had kids from all over Ontario coming here. We had close to 450 kids, so I think we can easily bump this up to 500 and handle them all. I'm not sure where the parking is going to be, but we'll stick them somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, we're looking to cap it at 500 students this year, in addition to all the parents and grandparents and cheerleaders and all the stuff that come along. To be a whack of people coming for the day. Our race involves kids from JK up to grade 8, so we have races for each in 2-year increments, and as the races get older, the races get longer. So we have different races and different age groups for these kids. We have medals for each of the top 3 that we've custom designed for them, so they're a highlight for all the kids. This is a free race for all the kids. We don't charge any admission for the kids. We do ask for a free will donation when they do come in the door. Some pay, some don't, which is fine. So the majority of our support will come from you guys, I'm hoping. And we do get some support from the community in terms of food for this and food for that, and our medical staff has offered their services. And so we do get some volunteer stuff coming along as well. Any of the business donation we do get from our club goes directly to other events for a year, for track races and for club insurances and all that stuff. But the funding we're seeking for this race goes directly to the race, and we will spend all of it. So.
Great. Thanks so much for your presentation. First off, congratulations on the success of your team this year. You've been, again, we hear constantly, weekly, daily sometimes.
Sometimes daily, yes.
Sometimes daily of the successes of the team, and it's always very refreshing to see the work that you put in with our young people and creating a purpose and a sense of commitment to personal fitness and community development. So our appreciation for that, certainly.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Councillor Kentner.
I just certainly echo that. I mean, we are so fortunate in Meaford to have the Coyotes. It's a huge, huge asset for our young people, something that the majority of communities far larger than us don't have. So really commend your, the job you and Shelley are doing. And also, I think it's quite important that we're not a one-stop shopping solution to your financial, welfare. And so I think it's good that you have a lot of commitments there from people in the community who are supplying a lot of your needs for this event. In fact, all of your needs for the event. I think it's really commendable. Thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions? Self-explanatory. Good luck with this. Have a great time. Hope the weather holds for you.
This year it will.
And the kids are all in great form. Yeah, we'll hold you to it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And we're moving into Georgian Bay Youth Roots. And welcome, Jason. That was good timing, Jason. I saw you come in just in time. It's the way you operate.
Yeah, I was curious if you'd stay on time, but you're ahead of schedule. It's great.
Hey,
I'll try and be brief and keep you on schedule. So my name's Jason Wepler. I'm a health promoter at the Grey Bruce Health Unit. Today I'm here in the capacity as co-chair of Georgian Bay Youth Roots, which is the youth coalition that serves both the town of Meaford and, the municipality of Meaford and the town of Blue Mountains. It's a partnership between the two communities. As you may be aware, in early 2018, Meaford received a youth-friendly designation, and that was on behalf of the work of Georgian Bay Youth Roots with support from the municipality, of course, and other community partners and individuals who are interested in supporting youth in our communities. And I think it's noteworthy to mention that there are only 48 communities in Ontario that have achieved a youth-friendly designation, and that includes First Nations communities, Canadian Land Force bases, as well as municipalities. So we're certainly in a short list of groups that have achieved that designation, and I really think that youth are our future in this community, and we need to continue to support them. Part of what we found with that designation was during feedback, both with youth that we held a number of focus groups with, and feedback from Parks and Recreation Ontario on our application, is that we need to have more spaces for youth in our community. And I know there's some great services being offered through the library and things, but I think we really need a dedicated youth space, one that's designed and planned by youth and specific for youth in our community, and that's what Georgian Bay Youth Roots would like to do over this next 4-year cycle if we're successful with this grant application, is to be able to find and dedicate a space to youth in our community, one where they'll feel comfortable hanging out, doing activities, would have hopefully access to some free Wi-Fi if they want to go to that space and do homework. And we would also like to continue to enhance the events that we hold monthly at Georgian Bay Community School, so we're in that school regularly, holding meetings, holding events for our youth. We do special events throughout the year on National Youth Week, which is in May, International Youth Day, which is in August, and a variety of other events, longest day of play, etc. I think I'll leave it at that and just open it up to questions. The rest of the information I think I tried to include in the application.
Certainly was a very thorough application. Do you have a spot picked out for this hangout?
Not specifically, no. We've done a little bit of preliminary brainstorming with our group that sits at Georgian Bay Youth Roots and with some of the youth that we have connected to that group, but no, we have no concrete plans finalized at this point. Okay. We would be exploring options with a variety of community partners, church groups, municipal spaces, etc.
Okay. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I really liked this application. Thank you for that, Jason. And what came to my mind as I read through your hopes and your plans for creating some sort of center with use was the Launchpad in Hanover. Are you connected with Launchpad? Are you able to take any guidance or any ideas from any of the good folks over there who might help you begin this process?
Yeah, we stay in touch with Emily at the Launchpad, who's the executive director, and she's part of our regional youth coalition working group. So we certainly, I think, have a lot to learn from what's been done in Hanover, and they've had some great success in that community, and it would be nice to see some additional communities in Grey Bruce, such as Meaford, kind of follow in their footsteps, maybe not to the degree that they've had, but I think there's certainly opportunities to provide some supports in the technology, in the apprentice kind of fields for youth in this community as well. It's a great suggestion.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Jason. This space, now, how often would you like it to be available? Is this a 1 day a week for a few hours, or is it a 24/7, or what do you have in mind?
Initial feedback from the youth that we chatted with was probably starting at once a week, maybe a Friday evening, but looking to expand and enhance on that depending on the interest and success of the space. I think the biggest challenge we'll need to kind of work around is just the supervision of that space and how that might look like. For long-term sustainability, we'll need to look at a space that isn't having, that isn't costing staff time to look at supporting that space. So I think we'll have to kind of feel those things out, but I think initially we're looking at 1 or 2 nights a week and looking to enhance it from there.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Kentner.
Jason, could you tell us, it's one of the larger asks, and I'm just wondering, can you relate that $4,600 a year to how you would apply that to acquiring the space? Like, is it for rent? Is it for renovations? What would it be for?
Yeah, most of the funding request would be for a space rental. We're anticipating there would be an initial cost at least for that until we can continue to build partnerships. I would like to see down the road that space could be free in some capacity with partnerships. But yeah, most of the funding would go to space rental initially, as well as outfitting that space to make it youth friendly, whether that be some couches, a ping pong table, a pool table, maybe a computer or two, so some capital costs that we would kind of direct into that first year, and then we wouldn't need to worry so much about that in subsequent years. But I would see, yes, a rental fee and some capital costs included in that $4,600.
What age cohort would you be looking at in terms of, is it all ages?
Yeah, I really do see it as all ages. There's lots of different definitions of youth. For the youth-friendly designation, it's specific to 13 to 19-year-olds. But really, from a public health perspective and the work of Georgian Bay Youth Roots, we're really looking at grades 7 to age 25, really. I think there would be interest in some of those kids that are post-secondary as well, making use of this site or center.
Jason, I'm just wondering if you have any partnerships or any connection at all with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
We do, yes. Big Brothers and Big Sisters is one of the agencies, one of many agencies that sits on our Georgian Bay Youth Roots group. So they have certainly been involved and are quite keen on being supportive of this process.
I'm sure. Councillor Greenfield.
It's an interesting project. I'm just wondering, would the young people who would attend, are they going to be self-supervising themselves, or how is that going to work?
Again, I think it'll depend on the space that we land in. If it's in a building that's already got, that already has adults in the building or space, I think it could be kind of a self-supervising thing. I don't think we're going to let these youth run wild with this space, and I think certainly Georgian Bay Youth Roots, our complement of organizations and individuals, would take that on in the first year with, again, a move towards more sustainability, depending on the space, and making that a little bit more self-sufficient for the youth. Certainly, primary concern would be certainly the safety of the kids in that space and making sure it's a safe space for all youth. So we would want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and welcome in that space, and I do think at least initially that will require some adult supervision.
Have you approached any other organizations or any other looking for funding anywhere else?
We operate on a very minimal budget. We do have both Rotary clubs from Meaford and Town of the Blue Mountains involved, so they've been quite supportive in terms of funding. We do some small fundraising endeavors as well, such as the Beaver Crawl Triathlon that's held in Town of Blue Mountains each Canada Day. So we do have small amounts of funding, but I think given how this project plays out, we would certainly be approaching some other groups to support this project as well.
And do you have any idea of how many young people within our municipality participate in your programs and participate in your as partners or?
Directly, we probably have up to a dozen youth that are attending our meetings. It varies monthly at the high school, depending what other activities are going on. But I would say probably our reach is 200 to 300 youth in the community a year, if I had to guess.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. So Jason, has the town of the Blue Mountains committed a donation to you? And my second question is, would this space that you would rent be guaranteed to be in Meaford, or would it try to accommodate both communities?
At this point, preliminary discussions again, but we would certainly anticipate that the space would be in Meaford, I think primarily because the high school is here and it's an easy transition for those kids from the high school space to this after-school space. So that makes sense. We would certainly welcome any Town of Blue Mountains students there, of course. But yeah, I do 100% anticipate it would be housed in the municipality of Meaford. In terms of the Blue Mountains, last conversation with some of their municipal staff is that they were looking to launch a similar type of grant program this year. So I haven't seen any details on that yet, but I do anticipate that we would apply for some similar funding if that grant opportunity comes to fruition as well.
I guess another thought was with our new library facility coming up and the youth programs that we have involved in that. What is the connection there? Working, I'm sure, in partnership and in tandem with them, and there will be space in our new library for youth drop-in center. How would that work in terms of your program?
Yes, for sure. So we do have Lori Pierce sits on our committee, so we're very happy to have her there contributing as well. I do think the library, again, provides a great space for youth, but I'm hesitant to overlap the services just because I know that space isn't specific to youth. The youth really are looking for a space that's been designed and would be specific to youth, and even though there will be dedicated youth space in the new library, I think that some youth are looking for just a little bit more, so we will continue to coordinate and work with the library and direct youth to their new space in your brand new library soon, which is great. But I do think there is a need in the community for a larger community-based space as well.
Okay. And that's that for questions. So
Thank
thank you very much for your presentation and good luck with this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have our last one before we are allowed to take a break. So Golden Town Outreach. And Simona's not here. Okay, well, I guess we'll take our break early then. And we won't be able to start because there will be, right after that until because they've all been alerted to the time of their presentation. So we will take a break at 2:45 and return at 3:20. Okay. Well, that's too bad. The community gardens, I would have thought she'd be here. I wonder if she misinterpreted the... Yeah. There's two different programs. This is the community gardens, and Golden Town Outreach is looking for assistance with food. Okay, we've made an executive decision, which is what you all hire us for, right? We are going to begin a little earlier with those who are here, and we'll pick up the others as they come in. But you've all been very patient, sitting here waiting, and some are here earlier than expected. So I think if everybody's ready, we'll move ahead. And the Golden Heirs, are you ladies presenting for the Golden Heirs, or you are? Okay. All right. I didn't have your names down, but I had Brina and Verna. I'm Bryna. There you go. All right, well, we'll start with you then, and welcome. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and council members. Put the
My name is Bryna Brown, and I'm the the president of the Golden Heirs Choir. Verna Hindle was supposed to be here, but due to unexpected circumstances, she sends her apologies.
Well, welcome, Bryna.
Thank you. As you know, we have recently held our 50th anniversary concert at the Meaford Hall on May 5th to a sold-out audience. Some even had to be turned away at the door. We attribute a lot of our success to the extensive advertising made possible with your generous donation given to us last year, which we are very grateful for. Our main goal is to use our proceeds to support local music programs so they are able to repair instruments and purchase new ones as needed. We have set up a bursary for a secondary graduate who has studied music throughout their school year. Within the choir, we have set up a music fund where each member contributes pocket change at each practice to ensure we have some money to donate to music programs. It usually amounts to close to $400. We have donated to local outreach, Syrian refugees, school breakfast and backpack programs, Christmas Wish Fund, and are currently working towards the Raise the Roof Fund to support Meaford United Church, where we hold our concerts every year. We have participated in the Christmas Fund broadcast, retired teachers' luncheon, seniors' fairs, and nursing homes in the Owen Sound area, as well as in Meaford and Thornbury's long-term care homes. We have taken part in the Scarecrow Parade, the flag raising on Canada Day, and day away programs at our local hospital. With this opportunity to receive a yearly grant from the municipality, we will be able to continue our extended advertising to draw a larger audience each year, bringing in new people from outside of our community who will enjoy our music and our town. Then in turn, we can continue to support our music programs and various needs in our community. Plus, we may encourage some new members to join our choir as well. I have put together an expense sheet of the proposed advertising expenses that we're asking money for, plus a list of all the free advertising that we do. So if I can hand this to you, if you like.
Sure. Thank you.
Like that to you?
Thanks, Brian.
Do you have any questions that I
Thank
can
you.
answer for you?
Well, you certainly had a successful concert. It was a wonderful, wonderful weekend of celebration, and
Yes.
we were very happy to participate and support that with donation last year. And the music that you have provided has certainly uplifted many of us in the community. So congratulations for
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Questions around the table? I certainly appreciate the time and the effort that you put into your presentation and this information. Council, questions? Okay, we're good.
We're good?
We're good. Thank you very much.
for your time.
Okay, the next one we have on our list is Home and Home Music Fest. Dave Trumbull, that might be you.
Hi.
Hi.
David Trumbull had to work today. I'm one of the co-curators. My name is Michael O'Connell.
Okay, Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, Shirley, you were listening in the back. I should have called you back then. We're pretty hard. Okay. All right, so welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us what you're all about.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to hear and consider the proposal from the Home and Home Music Festival. Home and Home is a curated music festival taking place in 2 backyards over the last weekend of July in downtown Meaford. Our first festival was last year, and we look forward to highlighting the successes of that inaugural experience over the next 10 minutes, I hope. We are curating an accessible, and we use that term with intention, we are curating an accessible and intimate music festival that prioritizes performers who often experience barriers in the music scenes across the country, specifically female-identifying, Indigenous, musicians of color, and queer artists as well, all of whom are making groundbreaking original music and accessible for young people, many of whom are considered young or youth or slightly older, many of whom themselves reflect and will attract audience members who will reflect the diversity of our nation. We equally prioritize the community economic development of Meaford in our planning. While we are attracting local audiences as a priority, we are attracting audiences from outside Grey County as well. Our hope is to put Meaford on the map for people who prioritize arts, culture, and community. And we want to see the kind of people who will further enrich Meaford in meaningful ways as the town grows and develops into the future. I'm just going to pass out, we're on a bit of a tight budget, so I'm just going to pass out some black and white images. Maybe you can pass them.
Thank you.
I'd love to talk about last year's festival happening at the end of July. We were able to sell approximately 80 tickets per night on the Friday and on the Saturday night. So we were able to sell 160 tickets. Our neighbors, through extensive outreach, we let our neighbors know that this event was going to happen, and rather than have them sit on their lawns and listen from a distance, they were just able to come to the door and access the festival evening for free. And we also do a pay-what-you-can sliding scale cover charge at the door, and youth under the age of 19 are free. So we were able to sell 160 tickets, but I think globally we were hitting about 220 people over the weekend. Some people were very specific about coming to see very specific artists who they couldn't believe were playing in the area and also playing in a backyard. Many of these folks attended both nights, like local Meaford jeweler Naomi Asenheim, who says her family attended both nights at the Home and Home Music Backyard Festival last summer, and it was truly one of our summer highlights. The music and family-friendly atmosphere was not only magical, but a powerful and memorable community experience. The kids ran around with music and bubbles as the sun set into the trees. There is nothing much better than to experience live music outdoors with friends and family. We also heard from Philly Markowitz, who is a former festival programmer at Lupercalia in Owen Sound and a CBC radio music programmer from 1992 to 2009. She says, I attended Home and Home this summer and was totally charmed by the combination of professionalism and hominess. The quality of the production, programming, and staging was excellent. The concept of blending the feeling of a backyard house concert with the amenities of a larger festival experience is perfectly suited to a smaller community like Meaford. There are many people living here who have a deep appreciation for the new music of up-and-coming artists, but the reality of traveling to larger urban centers to see live music from emerging artists is difficult, if not impossible, for some local residents. I also want to highlight the experience of one of the rosters. One of the artists on the roster last year. It's Toronto-based Anishinaabe singer-songwriter and winner of the Bullseye Media Emerging Artist Award from Imaginative and the Slate Music family, Ansley Simpson, who says, I am an Indigenous musician and greatly appreciated the diversity of the bill I was on, which spanned in genre, age, and genders, hosting local acts and those from further away. I was warmly received both by the organizers who made a mean pot of chili and provided great hospitality, as well as the audience. They were graciously hosting my 8-year-old daughter as well, who I often need to bring with me. This was a family-friendly event that seemed clearly rooted in bringing the community out, while also bringing people in from out of town. For me as a musician, these are the gigs I prefer to play, although it can be hard since they don't often pay as well as bigger festivals. And I look forward to being able to play one of their twinkly lit backyards again. That's a reflection of last year's, our very first festival. We plan on putting this festival on again, and we're already well into the planning stages. As a priority of community economic development, we are bringing local food vendors on site to sell food, the same vendors you might find at the farmers market on Fridays in the harbor, as well as artists who will be encouraged to stay all weekend long, and audiences who will be spending money on local accommodations, local businesses for food and other amenities. We have partnerships with the Red Door, who will be providing space for an after party on the Saturday night of the festival. We have a partnership with Ride On Bikes, who will be providing rental bikes or bikes for free for artists so they can truly enjoy the beautiful geography and the warmth of the people here, right on the ground level. We're not providing alcohol at this event. However, we will provide, as part of hospitality for artists, alcohol and food, and we have partnerships with Coffin Ridge and Bills to help us out with that, but certainly can't cover all of that. And we are endorsed by Mudtown Records out of Owen Sound. If there's any concerns about a municipal funded event on a private property, we do have extensive insurance coverage that is specific to this event. So we are covered in terms of liability, and we are doing everything we can to provide safe, like socially safe, but also physically safe space for everybody on our properties. We are an outdoor festival, so we're going to require a rain plan, and as of right now, if it does rain, we will have to cancel our event. We just don't have the capital to put a rain plan into effect. I believe you have our budget that we're asking for, so I'll just say in closing that we honor and we recognize the great music and culture that is happening in the region and in the town of Meaford proper. We respect and honor the efforts of those who are making that happen, many of whom are also applying for this funding, and we respect them as partners in creating that kind of culture in town. However, we recognize that there is a gap between the music that is of interest and is accessible to young people in this community. As Meaford has been designated a youth-friendly community, we want to prioritize youth in our planning. We also promote a diversity of genres and artist identities, all at venues that are within a safe walking or cycling distance to the folks who live here. And we are doing this with the full support, cooperation, and attendance of our immediate neighbors. I just want to thank you for your time and considering our modest proposal. And we look forward to running the festival this year. And we also hope that you can see the benefit of investing municipal funds into the Home and Home Festival.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Michael. This is very interesting, something new we haven't seen before. What is the location of this?
So there are two residences, my residence, which is where we ran it last year. We're hoping in future years we can run it in different residences, it's bringing in more people and maybe even more than two residences. That happens at my own home and at the home of David Trumbull. We had a history of putting on house concerts and backyard concerts, and we finally decided to put something into a bit more of a formal presentation.
Are these neighbors? These two locations are neighbors, or are they two completely separate?
I could give you the exact address because you might know it, but I live on Bridge Street near Fuller, just near David Johnston Park, and the other residence is David Trumbull, and he lives just off Grandview.
Okay. Questions for Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Michael, for your presentation. I mean, this it is a new event, as the Mayor says, which kind of fits, part of the purpose of these bursaries is to help events get on their feet. I'll admit that when I first read this, I kind of thought, but now that I hear you speak about it, and it reminds me of a backyard concert I attended a few years ago. We had an individual in town who was starting something similar, and I attended a few of the backyard concerts, and Alpha, if I can pronounce his name correctly, Alfie Zappacosta came to Meaford and played.
Okay.
So, relatively well-known musician, but to be that intimate with him in a backyard was really, really cool. So I understand, I think, what you're trying to do here. And recognizing that Meaford has a huge culture of local music, and you're expanding that now in a new, different way. So I really appreciate the depth of your explanation, because now I really understand where you're going with this and what you're trying to do. So in your own backyard, what attendance can you accommodate? I know you had 80 roughly this year. How many people could you accommodate in your yard?
We feel we could accommodate solidly about 110 people.
110. So he said there's no alcohol, so do people, if people bring something of their own, is that, are you accommodating that, allowing that? Do you have provision for that?
So as we are allowing young people under the age of 19 to enter for free, at the same time, at that moment, we have the same as an LCBO policy, where if we feel that people are under the age of 25, we're going to ask them for ID at the door, and if they can't provide that, then they won't get a wristband, and anybody who is drinking on site will have a wristband, and anyone who is drinking on site without a wristband, we will approach them and say, you can't drink here, and if that becomes an issue, we're just going to ask them to leave, and we will do that as safely as possible for their safety and for the safety of the event.
Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentation. I guess somewhere through what you were saying, I had a thought that this type of partying goes back 150 years in our community. This is not something that's new. It's unfortunately something that kind of slid off the radar screen, I guess with the technology advance, but it was very common for, I guess I go back to barn dances, that type of thing. So I like the, I like the community gathering concept, but I've got to look at this from the municipality side. I'm looking at things like parking, washrooms, accessibility for those who are somewhat challenged. Parking especially, I don't think, I'm not sure how we can dictate washrooms and accessibility, but they're very important, and I'm hoping that you have thought of that. But this would be on-street parking for some. Now, I think you mentioned Grandview Drive as a location, and Grandview is not exactly a super big parking lot. So I can see some, some problems. Not saying they can't be overcome, but there may be some concerns.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I take a minute to address that?
Just quickly, if you will.
Yeah. So I appreciate those concerns. And so we're renting porta potties for each site. We will also have, in terms of accessibility, we have in our FAQ on our website that we are accessible because we are ground level in both places. But that if there's any other accessibility issues, people can directly reach out to us, and we will happily problem solve people being able to access the house to use the washroom. The second piece around parking, we found that I would say the majority of folks who showed up last year walked or rode their bikes or carpooled. So parking just wasn't an issue whatsoever, including we did a bit of a round out debrief with a lot of our neighbors afterwards, who just said that there was just absolutely no issues around parking. They weren't put off. I should also say that David's residence, which address I can't remember for the life of me, it's off of Grandview, but parking was not an issue at his residence last year.
Councillor Kantner.
Thank you for that concern.
Your Worship, just one question. I see that the Meaford Culture Foundation denied your application. Was there a specific reason that, or is that something you'd be willing to discuss with us?
I would love to discuss that with you. However, we were not given an answer at all from them regarding. There was no rationale to the denial of the funds. They said we could contact them in the fall to have sort of a debrief about what their priorities are and what matrix they use to make their decisions. We just wanted to make sure we were in line with it, but there was nothing forthcoming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your.
Have a
good luck
wonderful
with
day.
that. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so we've been ahead, and Simone, you have arrived. Would you like to, that's quite all right. Come and join us now, and we'll hear your presentation. So Simone is here for the Golden Town Outreach, Expansion and Enhancements of Community Gardens.
Yes, thank you for having me, Worship and Council. I apologize for being late. There was a little plumbing emergency in our house. So I came here just to express our vision for our community. We have 3 community gardens in Meaford. One is behind the high school, the Grey Bruce High School. That's a large area. We have currently 11 gardeners. We have a huge circle that we provide food for the local food bank or the town outreach, which last year we received, we produced around 600 pounds of vegetables that we were able to feed families and people who are actually on the low income and offer them something more than cans, give them a little bit of produce from the gardens. You may know from Jaden how much he put his love into it, so it's doing still good. I took the opportunity this year. I became Meaford Community Gardens Coordinator and Second Harvest, and I am very passionate about the gardening, and today we are asking for expanding and enhancing the garden. So our vision is to create space, basically build structure, basic structure that we can actually be able to attract people to put a shelter and provide shade for when it's hot, when it's too sunny, so people don't need to leave. They get tired. And when it's raining, it's the same issue. They have nowhere to hide. So right now we have an open space, and there is only a small shed where we keep our tools. We have a hoop house that extends the seasons, but we would like to build a structure that will allow us to hide there in those conditions. The structure also will provide a space for us if we would like to do apple pressing. We'd like to purchase apple press. I didn't do specific budget for the application, but you know, as a Second Harvest, the way how it works, we approach farmers whether they have extra produce, and usually it's pears or apples in this region. And we usually produce apple pies, we do apple sauce in the community kitchens, and we give it to the food bank. Well, now I think that if we have always extra apples, and we would like to apple press them. We don't really have a space. So the vision is to do probably like an outdoor kitchen or youth and seniors to produce that this region offers. It's also not a surprise or news to you that the high school community gardens will be moving in a couple of years, and we will need to seek a relocation. So these funds that we are asking will also provide a little bit of financial help to if we have to move. We are currently looking for a space just to get an idea where we can be in Meaford area, accessible to people so people can bike not too far. And yeah, that will require fencing, bring the soil. Basically, we work as a volunteers. I am the only one who gets paid through the grants, and yeah, I think that that covers most of it. I didn't mention Victoria Village. Victoria Village is another garden where we created for the local residents a garden. We are running cooking classes and garden club in the summer for the kids. We are cooking with the kids and fresh produce from the gardens. We have peas and cherry tomatoes, so something that they can eat right away. And this year we planted some currant and some fruit trees, so hopefully they will have some produce. So we are trying to create a positive impact on these youth as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good work.
Any
Thanks,
question?
Simone. Yeah, I'm sure there's at least one. I see none. That was very well done.
Thank you very
and
much.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll find myself a again. And the next one we have up is Kids in Meaford Hall. Rhonda. There's Rhonda. Welcome. Welcome.
I represent Kids in the Meaford Hall. We've had some changes in our group in the last year. You're all aware of our loss of Gunter back last spring, and we were given a letter of resignation by David in March of this year. So we're restructuring and we're looking for new directors, but we're hoping to continue on, planning to continue on. So we're just in a restructuring kind of phase. This will be our 11th year of performance at Meaford Hall. For those of you who don't know, we do 3 performances for the school children. And initially we started out with just the ones from the municipality of Meaford, but that has spread out to Owen Sound and to Thornbury. When I taught in Owen Sound, I was aware of the kids that were in Bognor and back behind Woodford, and that they came into different schools from the rural areas. So we now have kids coming in from the feeder schools in those areas as well. We are up, or have been up to 1,000 different students in the hall through the 3 performances. There are times when the numbers fluctuate, just depending on busing and depending on schedules and stuff like that. But the plan is to do the usual 3 shows, and then the 4th nighttime show on Friday night, we're looking at promoting it and advertising it differently, because we don't get the audiences that influence that. I'm not sure, just you've got the application.
Yeah.
I was a little bit open in it because we had changed, last year we changed our end of year from December to March, because we found that a lot of the bills that we received were coming in January, and so it just made more sense to push the date. So, and we also hired a bookkeeper, so we are kind of, again, in change. And so I believe I said something about it was just a guesstimate. I have more final numbers if you'd like to see them, just based on what we see over a 3-year period. So from 2016 through 2018, who were our regular supporters and what we expected to receive from them. So I do have those numbers available if you're interested. But we have a good group of loyal supporters, whether it's one of the service clubs or business or a private donor. We do okay. We do well. What's happening is that the fees in the hall are increasing, and it becomes harder and harder to meet our fundraising goals. One of the goals that Gunter always had was to be sure that we had enough for the next show, so that if we maybe didn't meet the numbers, we were well on the way to the next show, so that we could begin to advertise and look for a script and directors and all the stage managers, all the people you needed. So we're still doing that process.
Good for you. What is your budget for, you do 2 shows a year? Christmas one?
I beg your pardon?
What is your budget for, how much are your expenses for 2 shows, the 2 shows that you put on? Do you know?
For the 2, like we do 3.
3? Sorry.
We do 4.
Sorry.
Actually, we do
We
4,
do-
but we
well-
do 3 daytime shows. This year's contract, 219. We're looking at overall about 6,500 for rentals and for load-in days and for what are called dry rehearsal days. Okay, that was quite a bit more. When we got the initial contract, it was up over $10,000, which is about $2,000 more than last year. So we canceled rehearsals in the hall. Gunter liked the idea that we used the hall. We held all of the days and we put in some extra dry rehearsals, but we're now going to be rehearsing at the United Church for about half the price. So
Sure.
the cost increases just mean that we're always looking for
Another
I hate to
sponsor.
say a better place to be, but
Sure.
a less expensive place to be. Okay?
Okay, that was the number I was looking for, was 6,500. That covers the shows that you perform in Meaford Hall.
Yeah, yes, and about 3 dry rehearsals, which puts the
Elsewhere.
cast on stage.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. So when you say you hire a bookkeeper and you hire directors and stagehands, they're all paid positions, are they?
No, we hire, this is the first year that we decided to hire a bookkeeper rather than just using one of our directors, executive members to do the books.
But your directors and everybody is all volunteer?
Yes, yeah, everybody's, all the crew. We have to hire the techs at the hall.
Yes.
But other than that, yeah, everybody's a volunteer.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. And can you give us a rough sense then, costs related to props and costuming and those sorts of incidentals?
It varies from play to play, and we do try to keep the numbers down. Let's see if it's here in the list. Thank you, Carol.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, this is an income statement for Wind in the Willows, and we were looking at about $576 in props, makeup, costumes. We've been at it enough years that in most cases I can usually pull what I need out of costumes or recreate something. Sets have also been fairly simple, but I think we're looking at refurbishing because we've kind of overused or reused and reused set parts, and that's starting to break down. So
Sure.
it really varies from production to production what we end up spending. Gunter always kept a pretty tight rein on us, and if he thought we were spending too much, he wasn't beyond telling me to shape up. So, and the same thing happens.
You still hear his voice?
Oh, yeah.
Well, congratulations to all of you. This is carrying on a very proud tradition, and we all knew Gunter very, very well, and mourn his passing as you do, I'm sure. But you're carrying on his tradition with great enthusiasm and passion, and that's a really good thing. His idea for exposing young people, students to live theater sets them up for an experience of live theater throughout their life, and that's a very positive message.
And hopefully it'll be lifelong, too.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope. So congratulations to you all, and best wishes as you transition into the next chapter. Questions, Councillor Kentner?
It's not a question. I just wanted to tell Rhonda that our granddaughter was a product of this opportunity and went on to have a 4-year arts degree and is working in the arts very successfully.
Oh, great. That's good to hear.
Another check
So
mark for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good stuff.
That's great. Well, thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate it, and best of luck to you, as I said, you carry on, and we'll be watching for the productions.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. And next up, we have Meaford 55 Plus Club. And welcome, Walter.
Thank you very much. Rather than repeating my performance about 3 months ago to everyone here, I'm sure it was a fairly extensive explanation of what we do, but for the benefit of a few people here that weren't present at that particular time, I'll just take a few excerpts from that, plus a few things to do updated. Excuse my voice, I've got some issues with me. So my name is Walter Swade, as it says, but as the president of the 55 Friendship Club, I just wanted to ask for support for reasons that have more or less been very surprising in a sense of the financial maintenance. Our membership age has a lot to do with this, but also one of our major attractions, if you will, to a lot of newbies as well as longtime members was trips. Our trips have been very difficult to procure because we've experienced an average of $1,300 per trip just for the bus alone. I'm talking about on a trip to GTA, for instance, for a major performance to a theater or a play. Health-wise, many of our members are unable to make do in smaller buses. It's just not possible. And so we have tried smaller. I believe it's about 60 capacity. And, well, it still works out to 3/4 of the cost of a big one, which is very rarely can we fill that. We've sent out the feelers to other clubs, such as TO1 Sound, Friendship Club, the retirement people, and we've had some people, but not enough. Consequently, from what I spoke of the last time and regarding our budget, we've fallen about $1,500 in the red, not as a negative figure, but below that of what it was when I last spoke to you. And we did have a considerable amount of speakers, many of which do not require payment, which is very nice, but some of them do. And we've been using domestic sources for our very few dinners. We've got one dinner coming up, which is the final one for this year, which will be the end of this month. That's a picnic that we have yearly, and people are really looking forward to that. And what we would very much like to do is make it for free, but unfortunately, we have to just subsidize it to the extent that I believe 3/4 or more of the members have already signed up. Excuse me. This year we'll complete our 24th year, so next year will be our 25th anniversary as a club in Meaford. And so with some of this funding that I'm looking for, we're hoping to be able to restore at least 1 or 2 trips per year for people who expected that. And I noticed that there were members from other clubs, such as the Probus Club and others that came and were disappointed that we don't have any major trips on the itinerary. The average price, as much as I've tried to, and our council have tried to maintain a low key, at the very least we could manage was around $110 to $120 per person. And that's turned out to be, unfortunately, not very successful. We've had very few people that sign up for that. They find it much too expensive. And so the way we're trying to do this is try to subsidize at least 1 trip a year where our seniors can get out. I do recognize how important the outing is. We also have a plan B, and I make this only as an emergency measure. And that would be that financially speaking, we could have a reduction of our meetings to twice a month instead of every week. We could easily, we can certainly do that, but it is, I've recognized, knowing so many of our members personally, that happens to be a day in a week that they're really looking forward to. And I had a conversation just the other day with one of our members who just said, well, even if I could just come by somebody talking to me, that would be a big help. But, you know, I'm sitting in my apartment and I'm so looking forward to the Tuesdays. And so that is, I think, the main feature of our club is to provide a place for them to look forward to coming, and maybe just a camaraderie and to talk about the old days, whatever we do. But I'm here to say that I will do my very best. Whether I be on the executive next year, we have our elections coming up. A good, so it is basically working financially that well for us. We to leave because they're able to maintain. We've had some good numbers of new folks turn out. So I'm just hoping that I can maintain their interest within the budget restrictions.
Thank you
So
very much,
thank you so
Walter.
much for the second opportunity.
For your presentation. Can you tell us a couple of things,
Sure.
questions for me? What do your members pay to participate in this club?
Well, we've had the last one was $20 for the year.
For how?
For membership per year.
And for how many meetings would that be?
Well, we have one once a week. So it's for 40 meetings, roughly
For 40
speaking.
meetings.
Yeah. And, you know, it's as much as it seems pittance in a sense, if you divide that by 40, a lot of people say, oh my God, it's going up and up and up. I can't believe that, but it's pretty inexpensive entertainment. Plus we provide
coffee and tea.
Finger food. Well, yeah, we used to have a more what they call lunch, and the lunch side of it has become cookies, coffee, and tea. That has to provide the servers anymore. So what we try to do is the last 4-6 months, and it's been maybe one every month that was supplied by our core members, and we're getting older. 40-cup tea station to the front to cut it back, and that being, as said, we make coffee, tea, and cookies, and I think that's not a lot to ask for. Yeah. So to provide trips, well, yeah, it would be nice, but I think in order to attract people that have maybe not come back because there was no trips.
A couple of years ago, Walter,
yeah.
you had requested a similar support for trips.
Yes.
And the resulting was, I think there was an amount, and we've got the amounts of support that has been provided over the past. But one of the suggestions at that time was that I think you were asking for 3 trips out of town to theater or whatever, and there was we suggested that part of the support would go.
Have used up every bit to make your generous contribution to our expenses through the grant we received as part of the normal operating expenses, but we've basically burned that up in no time. And it was also mentioned that, my God, yeah, well, I didn't get to go. Well, the early bird gets the worm, right? But so we've burned through that very quickly. But we did have, and I believe you were in some of these venues that were wonderful, and we did, I would say, about an average of 20 to 25 members at Meaford Hall, and we will continue to do so if we can.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from anyone? Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Walter. What are your numbers of membership you have now?
Well, as of last March when I spoke to you, we have pretty well maintained from 115 people, around about there. It's hard to always, we average, however, what has improved is the average attendance, despite the fact that we haven't gone on trips outside, like buses and things. So we used to average maybe 35. Now we have 45, and we've had the speaker as of late. I believe you know the gentleman that was the storm watcher. He put on. He also did a presentation on birds. Again, we pay for that. It's not, and we've had 65 up to 75. I think it was 75 members that come out for that. We've had, on average, now 55 to 65 people. So that has improved, even though we didn't offer theater downtown. You know.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you very
your,
much for the
time.
opportunity again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks so much. Okay, and the next one is the Meaford and St. Vincent Agriculture Society, and really, that's you. Good timing.
Good afternoon. I'm here representing the Meaford and St. Vincent Fall Fair,
Are you Gary Smart?
Yes, I am.
Okay, super, thank you.
and this will be our 164th Fall Fair.
Wow.
I believe maybe the longest-running service group in the municipality. We've had
No
a fair-
original members, though, I would
Not-
hazard a guess.
Not really. We got a few getting back there, but I guess I fall into one of those now. The fair, give you a bit of a background on the fair. We have about 1,700 entries a year, about 250 people exhibiting from all over Ontario. And I guess we have a really good quality fair. We've had a quilt from our fair go on to be reserve champion quilt in Ontario this past year. We've had chickens go to the Royal Winter Fair. We've had cattle go to the Royal Winter Fair and become champions down there too. We have one of the largest poultry shows, one of the largest cattle shows in, I guess, east of Barrie, or west of Barrie, sorry, west of Barrie. We've tried to bring in some new things. We try and keep things for every age, from little kids up. It takes a fair bit of money to bring an amusement in, and we've just secured that again for another year, that we will have something for small children. Our exhibitors are right from grade school kids right through to senior citizens and adults. The 4-H program is a big part of it, which to these kids, that's as big a deal to them as going to play baseball or hockey with a lot of other kids. It's their summer, and they put a lot of work in it every day into that project to take it and exhibit it and go on to the Royal Winter Fair. We pay out about $8,000 a year in prize money. We have some other fundraising ventures. We have a roast beef dinner that was a couple weeks ago. We have a pork chop barbecue, and we had some members go and participate in the cleanup that the town had here a couple weeks ago, done the fairgrounds and done part of the 15th, 16th, and 7th Lions. So we try to be involved. I don't know what else I can tell you, if you have any questions.
Certainly, it's certainly something that we all look forward to. It gives the rural community character that people love to see.
Well, it brings agriculture to town.
Absolutely.
And we try and portray it in the best light that we can,
and you've done a great job. And it's with the Junior Ambassador Program,
Yep.
and continuing on with educating our young people through 4-H clubs and so on. It's a vital service to an agricultural community, and we very much appreciate all of the hard work that goes into making that happen year after year. 164 years,
Yeah.
And going strong.
And
Good for
going
you.
strong.
Good for you. Questions from the Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'll begin with saying thank you, Gary, for your support with the spring cleanup. That did
Okay.
not go unnoticed. We appreciate that very much. My question revolves around other supports. You have listed here the OAAS.
Yes.
For $3,000.
Yes.
And are there other businesses or service clubs?
We
or-
send donation letters out. We don't do a campaign like other fairs do. And I guess we have a little bit of a unique situation with our fair. We have people from Rockland come and campaign in Meaford. We have people from Thornbury come to Meaford. We have people from Owen Sound come to Meaford. And then they say they give to the fair. Yes, they give to a fair, not necessarily our fair. That's been one problem we've had. We didn't want to look like beggars and go out and keep hounding at people for donations. Now, there's certain aspects of the fair that they fundraise for a certain prize within group. And we've had great support from the community on donations for our fair, and that's good. Some of it be given as vouchers and prizes and stuff like that. The other fundraising is we had a silent auction here of donated items at the beef barbecue, and that helps to raise us some money. They also had a plant sale here, raised almost $900 at the plant sale. I was just blown away. I didn't think there was that many plants in Meaford, but it was great to see that a new venture could come and bring a little bit more money to the fair, so we can enhance more prize money. And it costs so much for people to travel and get to these fairs, and you're bringing a trailer load of livestock. It costs a lot of money and a lot of people going up and down the road with that, and a lot of commitment.
Councillor Kentner.
Gary, I just, congratulations, 164 years, and I'm sure, it's got a long way to go yet. Ruth and I have been involved with the Ambassador Program for a good number of years. It's a super program, and I just think that rural youth have as many advantages as our town youth do as a result of the kind of work that you're doing.
Yep, I appreciate that, Ross. And I guess I can say one thing, that if it hadn't have been for 4-H, my whole career change could have been different. It was joining a 4-H club in 1972 has had me breeding purebred Limousin cattle in this township for 41 years.
A career opportunity.
Yep, and I've seen a
that's
lot
great.
of kids come and do that. We've had kids that have come through the 4-H program. There's 2 girls that have showed calves at our place that come out of town, and both took a career in agriculture.
Yeah.
I've got a
Great
boy that's
program.
going to come out of town this afternoon, and he's going to run a tractor as soon as I get back home. So,
Very good. Well, I'll thank you so much for your
Okay.
participation, and certainly I've accepted the invitation to dinners, so
Very good.
we'll be seeing you again.
Okay, we'll see you at
Thank
the fair.
Thank you. See
Thanks.
you at the fair. Okay, and I think we don't have Sweetwater, and the next one, we don't have Meaford Creative Arts, but we do Meaford Culture Foundation. So we'll welcome Joanne.
We compete against the agricultural fair on Labor Day weekend.
Well, I
with
don't
Myth.
know that you compete, but it
Well-
brings everybody into town, so busy weekend.
Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council, thank you very much for this opportunity to present. So my name is Joanne McKenzie, and I sit on the Board of Directors of the Meaford Culture Foundation. As well, I am the Artistic Director for MIF, the Meaford International Film Festival, which is presented by the Meaford Culture Foundation, a registered not-for-profit group since 2006. This year, 2019, marks our 13th season. It's the Foundation's flagship cultural event taking place over Labor Day weekend at Meaford Hall. And as you know, this 4-day event is a major economic driver in our community. Holding MIF at Meaford Hall, the premier location on southern Georgian Bay, adds to the experience for our patrons. Not just residents, and sometimes there's first-timers in the municipality who have never been to the hall, and it's great to get them out there, but also about half of our patrons come from outside of the municipality, and it's great to have them come into the town as well as come into Meaford Hall and experience what the hall has to offer as well as what Meaford itself has to offer. Local businesses benefit from MIF, including, of course, restaurants, gas stations, shops, hotels, and B&Bs, plus the big red chairs, which we hear a lot about from our patrons. MIF provides a very unique cultural experience, not just movies, but there's so much more. Each night we showcase a student film selected from the Georgian Bay Youth Film Festival, which is run out of the library in Owen Sound. I'm one of the judges. And actually next week they'll be showcasing all 13 films at the Cineplex. I've already selected the 4 that I want to show at MIF, but it's great. Past couple of years, we've had kids from Meaford, which was like so exciting. This year, unfortunately, there weren't any kids from Meaford, but that's okay. There's always hope for years to come. We do guest interviews. Of course, there's dinners, parties. We also have matinees, so there's something for everybody at all price points. And as you know, arts and culture help to benefit the overall overall well-being of a community. So part of what we do is the funds generated from MIF go back into the community to help. We do, of course, fund some capital expenses at Meaford Hall, but our focus of late has been community outreach through a variety of arts and culture initiatives, focusing mainly on students, but of course we do fund activities for adults because we can't forget about them. Close to 1,000 students each year benefit from what we do and the money that we make. Last year alone, close to $45,000 was invested back into our community. Since 2008, the number is close to $185,000. Arts, music, literacy, film, theater, culture, and culture awareness. There are so many heartwarming stories, but I wanted to share one with you, and this was in regards to a bursary that we provided for a young girl in Meaford to go to a musical theater camp at the hall for 2 weeks. She was suffering from a very serious illness, but was able to attend the camp for 2 weeks. And for her to go there and get the feedback of being able to experience she wouldn't have been afforded by her family, so she could not think about her disease for 2 weeks, would make anybody choke, anybody's heart skip a beat. And that's just one of many. There are a lot of kids who get to experience things that unfortunately their families can't afford to do. You have a lot of kids, there's a lot of sports, there's a lot of other camps that they want to go to and different things. So we provide funding for a whole lot of different things. We sponsor professional theater that comes to the hall, so kids can go see it for free. The list goes on, and of course I think when we've presented before, you're all aware of it, and I can provide more information if it's needed. So this, being part of this, the municipality has an opportunity, along with council and mayor, to volunteer and help out and showcase the municipality on one evening. And what this funding does help us do is take over, or help us rather to deal with some of the price increases that we face each year. And in particular this year, the cost of renting the hall has gone up $200 a night. Of course, catering costs have gone up. Pretty much everything we deal with this year has gone up. Getting the films, the liquor license is a big one, and advertising. So our bill alone at Meaford Hall for Labor Day weekend will be about $16,000, which is a lot of money. The cost of putting on MIF is approximately $42,000. At the time when I submitted the application, there was a place on there to put in any where else we're getting money from, and at that point I didn't have that information, but I do have it now, and we have secured $6,500 in sponsorship money. It's possible we'll get another $3,500, but it has not been confirmed yet. So with a total of 5 films, 4 matinees, 4 dinners, 4 parties, there's something for everybody, and I hope to see everybody in this room there, at least at one thing, because it's a lot of fun, and we're all volunteers in our group except for our bookkeeper. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Joanne, and thanks. We all know we're all recruited. We've been strong-armed to volunteer. It didn't take much strong-arming. We're all there. It's a great opportunity. It's a great weekend. We always look forward to it. Signature event, and you just put on such a show. I take it you're not going to reveal the films today, and that's fine. We'll wait for the big reveal at some point.
Very soon.
Soon. But in terms of the economic impact of this weekend, we did a very minor economic impact study a couple of years ago to gauge the interest from out-of-towners, those who have come in to take part within the, and we all know the story of how this all started with folks looking for TIFF programming and ending up coming to MIF and eventually coming here and settling, buying a house, and becoming now community members. So the economic impact has been astounding over the years, and now getting into the outreach programs that you've taken on is providing this experience for our youth again is so important. So congratulations to all of you, Ted, in the audience, and you can take that back. Questions around the table? Yes, we've all let, Councillor Kentner, sorry.
say the Culture Foundation is huge, and I remember being at a meeting where you and I sat side by each, and I was pretty concerned when they decided they would be separate from Meaford Hall and be the Meaford Culture Foundation, but boy, oh boy, it's been straight up, and I give you all kudos.
Well, I think one of the things we have to reinforce is the fact that the capital expenses and the capital support for Meaford Hall is still there. That was the original purpose of the organization. They're just taking a broader look at community outreach and helping those youth and that will carry on and learn something about culture.
True, yeah, just to touch on that just slightly, dropping the word hall from the foundation's name to become the Meaford Culture Foundation was really just to differentiate, because we found that not just people in our community, but people from outside the community thought we were the hall, and the hall is a municipal building and organization. And even though I love it when people say, hey, yay, you got Burton Cummings coming, how did you do that, Joanne? You know, I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't. For as much as when somebody tells me, hey, the railing's sticky at the hall, when are you going to clean that? I don't want to deal with that either.
Well, that's my job.
Yeah, that's sticky railings. So truly, that's all. I mean, and it's still happening. I think it's going to take a long, long time before people do it. So, I mean, really, it's not that we mind being confused with the hall, but we want people to really understand, much like the hospital foundation, they're not the hospital. They raise money to help the hospital. We raise money, of course, to continue with capital projects at the hall, but also really doing something for the community groups here, because it's difficult for them when they're not a registered charity to sometimes get funding. So, and our budget keeps growing every year, so the more that we can help local groups, the better it is. It's just, you know, it's just a feel-good all around.
Works for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you for the opportunity.
For what you do. We'll look forward to, well, not yet. We
Not
want
yet.
summer to come first.
Okay.
Then we'll look forward to the big fall weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we will go back because our Meaford Creative Arts folks are here. Welcome, ladies. Are you, Judy and we're ready for you when you are. You're up. We started a bit early, so we're filling in as people arrive.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome.
For you people who don't know me, I'm Judy Shield. I'm the coordinator of the Meaford Creative Arts Association. This past year, we had quite a big rise in our rent at Meaford Hall, where we meet every Monday from 8:30 to 4:30 to do painting, art, whatever media you want to work in. We've had a struggle because of the cost of the rent going up. We had to ask for half days instead of full days. We've lost the use of the kitchen and the refrigerator, the microwave, if you wanted to come and stay all day. We're getting one full day a month when we can have a guest artist come in and do a workshop with us and demonstrate and teach. So it is an activity for seniors as well as anybody who can come on a Monday. We have a few people that actually work that get Mondays off to be able to come. So we would like to get some money to help us get our space back that we had, the full kitchen use, and the hours, to extend the hours back to what they were before. We do a lot of things for the town. We have a project that's been going on for 15 years, the hospital tile project. Probably most of you have been to the hospital, know about the ceiling tiles. It's quite an art exhibit. Every time one of those goes up, $100 goes to the hospital, and the artist might get 50 if it's a commission. That basically it covers the cost of the paint. That's about it. We also give a donation to the agricultural fair for the children's art prizes. We give $100 to them every year. So we're struggling this year to even give them that because our budget is very low. We do 2 art shows a year, which enables artists to be able to show their work and sell it. We do one at the Pavilion in August, the long weekend in August this year. And we also do one at the hall, which is a 2-month-long or 6-week-long show that we have at Meaford Hall, and that's the end of September right into November. So those are opportunities for our members to sell their work. We also have an ongoing display in the terrace room of our paintings, which they sell once in a while. And each time one of those paintings gets sold in the hall gets 30% commission. So they benefit from us. We also have items in the display case in the main foyer by the box office, and items get sold out of there. And also those get 30% goes to the hall from any of those sales. Other costs that we have is advertising. It's very hard to spend any money on advertising when your rent is so high, and you're trying to minimize the amount that people are wanting to pay to come to this. As you know, they're all seniors, they're on a limited income. Art materials are very expensive, so that's a problem with everyone. And we think it's important to have art and beauty in our community. I'm not from Meaford, I'm actually from Thornbury, but I'm quite involved with the Meaford community through this. I've been involved with this group for 12 years, and it's a really good group. If you ever came in there on a Monday and see how happy people are in there, it's incredible how people are happy creating. And when you're creating, you're in a different mindset than when you're doing logical things. Go into that creative side, the rest of the world and Trump people like that go away. So I hope you'll, we have applied for $1,000, which would help us with the rent increases that we've had, and maybe get some of our time back so our members can have more time painting. So I hope you'll consider our plea.
Thank you so much, Judy, for your presentation. Quick question for you. What do your members pay? This is a membership-based organization.
Our members pay $25 a year, and then each time that we come to paint, we each pay $5 while we're there on a Monday. So we don't always have everybody come every Monday. Some people are away or sick or have appointments, and then we also have people that go away for the winter.
Sure.
So the winter is our biggest struggle because we have almost half the people are away in the winter time. So that's where we struggle to meet our rent commitment on those days.
And I really appreciate the time that you folks took with me to explain how your group operates. And I understand that there's still some municipal support for designs of your cards and brochures and advertising, things like that. That's done through the municipality as well. So I think council needed to hear that support is given. There's also, in terms of support through the box office for inquiries of the product that you have for sale and so on.
Right.
And that's all appreciated. So, questions around the table? Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your presentation. So you meet every Monday?
Yes, not July and August.
And how many members do you get to come out?
I think we approximately have 30 members right now. We have quite a few new ones.
And most of them come every week?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this time of year, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, today, well, I can't say that because today, we only had 15 people, 16 people there today. And I think last Monday was around the same, around 17 people.
Well, the sun shone today.
Yeah, and people go away and come back and have doctor's appointments, all kinds of things, especially with the senior group that we have. Yeah. Our oldest member is 92. Still painting. Yeah.
Well, there's hope yet.
She started at 85.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When we retire, absolutely.
Yeah.
Count me in. Thanks so much, Judy, for your presentation.
Okay, anything
All
else?
right.
That's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your consideration, everyone.
Okay. And here we have Sweetwater. I see Colleen over there. Welcome, Colleen.
Thank you very much. I think
You're up.
Paul Eichhorn, our festival manager, is probably
Oh.
out driving around.
What, looking for us?
Probably, but I'm here, so
Well,
I can do the presentation.
that's all that counts.
First of all, a big thank you to the municipality of Meaford for all of the support they've shown to Sweetwater over the years. And I'm not just, putting this voice on. I've got a terrible cold, so I'll just not get near anybody. We are now celebrating our 16th year as a festival. It started in the municipality of Meaford. with our first concert at the Leith Church with founding artistic director Mark Fewer. This is his last year with us. He's now got, I probably would say, a dream job running the Stratford Music Festival. It's a 6-week music festival. And sadly, he had to give up Sweetwater in order to take that off. But he's promised us he's not going anywhere. He'll be back to play, but he can't be artistic director. We always are sold out at the Leith Church. That's our first concert. And we really do profile the municipality of Meaford as part of the Sweetwater Festival weekend. Our request over the next 4 years is to expand our outreach, particularly in the Meaford area, but not only. We want to make more people aware of both the municipality of Meaford, but also the Sweetwater Music Festival. It is a real gem. It's very, very high quality music with some of the best performers in classical jazz and contemporary music in the country and around the world. We have unbelievable artists who come to the festival. And so with this grant, it would allow us to create some short promotional videos. We have a new artistic director who'll be starting for the 2020 season, Edward Huizinga. I don't know if anybody knows him. He's probably about this tall. He has long red hair. He's not Celtic, but he plays not only Baroque and classical music, but he is a terrific fiddler as well. And he's what you would call a very eclectic musician. He plays all around the world. He is actually a student of Mark's and was mentored by Mark. We're very confident that he will carry on the Sweetwater tradition, but he's going to add some real new things to Sweetwater as well. And one of those things would be for us to use his, I think he's a lot younger and he's kind of cool, so we're hoping he's going to be an artistic director who's going to bring new people to Sweetwater and also younger people into the Sweetwater community. So we want to do some videos where he would be videoed in Meaford, talking about Leith Church, talking about Meaford as a community, and we will use those to try and attract people within our own area, but also more broadly. We're also going to use the funding to host an annual concert for young musicians, so upcoming young musicians. We had our first yesterday. It was called the New Wave Showcase, where we had 9 young musicians from 16 to 26 or 27, I think. Amazing musicians. It was a fantastic concert. It was at the Leith Church. What a beautiful venue at this time of year. The green trees all around. It was a stunning day. It was just an absolutely amazing concert. So we'd like to do this. So this is a way of as a community, supporting emerging musicians going forward. We had a grant last year from the Community Foundation, Grey Bruce, to do this, but we need to find other sources of funding to move forward, and we want to make this an annual event, either at the historic Leith Church or perhaps at the Meaford Hall. Those would be the 2 venues that would consider for that. We also want to support an expanded complimentary ticket program for people from Meaford. We have been doing this the last 2 years, where we've provided complimentary tickets to people who normally wouldn't be able to come to Sweetwater because they have financial barriers or accessibility barriers, or they just don't know about Sweetwater and they need to know about Sweetwater, so we're trying to make it easier for people to participate. We also provided last year, for example, students at Georgian, what's the name of the school now, the high school where the music program is?
Georgian Bay
Georgian Bay
School.
Secondary. We provided the music class with complimentary tickets. to come to Sweetwater performances, and they totally loved it, and we want to continue doing that in the Meaford area. So providing more opportunity for outreach in the Meaford area, so that's how the grant would be used. We see this grant as raising awareness generally about music in community, and opportunities for musicians and audiences. We have a fairly broad spectrum with music, so there's a little bit of everything for people. And also to provide more opportunities for people to appreciate music and grow through musical expression. And also by raising awareness about the Meaford area through the video promotion and expanded advertising that we'll be doing outside of our community here and in Meaford and Owen Sound and Grey Bruce area, but doing more to attract broader audiences, not only to Sweetwater, but to the municipality of Meaford and the area. We have great potential to attract more people. We certainly have the product in terms of the concerts. We just have never had much of a budget to do the marketing. That's always been a bit of a struggle. So those are the key areas that we're hoping that you will consider with our request. We have received funding in the past. There's a budget sheet there where our sources of funding. What that doesn't include is the fact that we also fundraise in the community almost 2/3 of the amount of money that we have to raise. Every year it's over $60,000 from individuals and organizations in order to keep ticket prices accessible, to allow for complimentary tickets, and to do all of the other things we do, the outreach in schools, the things like the Next Wave Showcase, which we did. This year we hosted also the first time a music fair. It was in Owen Sound, but we had quite a few musicians and music groups from the Meaford area who came to our first Access Music Fair, and we wanted to continue doing that. So people who are looking for teachers or a singing experience in a choir or concert that they might like to go to. It's very eclectic. It's not just classical. They could find out more about music opportunities through the Access Music Fair. So that's more or less the presentation. I know it's not
Thank
a
you.
long time. I don't know if there's any questions that you have.
Certainly, we have time for questions if there's any from Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Colleen. I very much enjoy your concerts in the church, even though my back gets a little sore.
Hey, the good news, yesterday I was there. They've bought new cushions.
Great.
That are already there, so you don't have to bring your own cushion. And apparently they've installed air conditioning too, which will be really nice. Even in September, it's been a bit of a challenge at times in the church. So it's really a lot more comfortable. You're still sitting straight up and down, but the cushions are nice.
The air conditioning is good news. I was
That's
there,
good news.
that last one, when it was so hot.
Yeah.
So my question revolves around your major expense. Is it the musicians themselves, or is it the outreach that you're doing and trying to build?
Well, the major activity with the Sweetwater Music Festival is our festival in the fall. So a good part of the funds that we raise do actually pay for musicians. I think it's about $35,000 of our $100,000 total budget. So about 1/3 of it goes directly to that festival weekend to the artists. And then we do have a paid staff person who organizes everything. So part of it goes towards that salary. That's our only staff person. And the rest goes to outreach and marketing budget's very small. So we run a really tight ship, Sweetwater, and we are completely dedicated to making our festival both accessible and affordable, but also financially stable. We're in good shape. We don't have any extra money. We're founding a new foundation this year with the Ontario Arts Foundation Endowment Fund, so we'll be doing that as a Mark Fuhr Legacy Fund to celebrate 16 years of Mark Fuhr's leadership, and hopefully that will help us also with operating costs. as you know, both provincial and federal funding for the arts is kind of a...
Sorry, I'm going down.
Hi, Paul.
My apologies.
She's done a marvelous job.
no,
You're
I
out of a job.
I'm just here for support.
This is Paul Eishorn, our festival manager. So the arts funding is a bit of a precarious thing. It can change with governments and flavor of the week. So we're trying to establish an endowment to give us more security from year to year. I must say we appreciate the municipal funding from Meaford. It's not always the case with municipalities that they fund the arts either. And I think you do yourself proud with the way you support the arts in your municipality.
Thank you so much, Colleen. We really appreciate your presentation, and we appreciate what you do. This has been a musical afternoon, actually.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes,
good.
We've
Good.
had a number of, obviously, culture is alive and well in our community.
Yeah, and I think-
everybody's looking for support to strengthen it.
I think
make it
there's
better.
excellent research to show, though, what the arts bring to a community in terms of
question.
revenues
Yeah.
for stores and restaurants and all the rest. So it's not
Thank
just
you
going
so
out.
much.
Thank you.
Good luck with the festival this
Thank you,
year.
please
And looking
come.
forward. Oh yeah, I'll be there for
Invitation to
the
everyone.
gala.
We'll get you the information.
Thank you so much. Okay, and we'll move on to Smile. Joyce is here. Welcome, Joyce. You're up.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, first thing I'd like to do is thank you all for your support last year in making the feast a success. This year is our 6th annual, and we're hoping to get bigger and better again. Just for those of you that aren't familiar with who we are, we're an animal and people-based society. We help people with their pets get through difficult times. So we're community-based. We help people within the community, almost entirely within the community. We give people opportunities within the community to help us, as in fostering. And we rely on the Feast of Fields as our only, right now, fundraiser, because we are a very small group. We share the proceeds from the Feast of Fields, which is on the 24th of August this year. And it is, again, for those who are not familiar with it, it's a vegan/vegetarian feast, primarily from local seasonal foods that are accessed through the farmers market, and that's who we share partnership with in this feast. And they help us to organize, they help us to source the food, and we split the proceeds with them from the ticket sales. The farmers market, of course, you know what they do, and the money that they get is used towards making that a success every year. With us, the finances go towards vet bills that are necessary from time to time, helping out with costs for foster care. The vet bills can be quite substantial, as I think everybody that has a pet may have experienced from time to time. Although we do have a great working relationship with a vet clinic that really helps us out. We're really finding that for Smile, the group is getting a lot more known in the Grey Bruce area, I would say. We deal mostly in Grey County. And where we go, we find we're being talked about and sometimes replicated, which is wonderful. We'd like to see that go on. A lot of our clientele comes from women going into the women's shelter and needing a place for their pets to go that's safe until they've got a place of their own to live in. Senior citizens also, and sometimes not so senior citizens who need to go in for surgeries or rehabs and are temporarily unable to afford to get care for their pets, so we help them out with that of no cost to them. And so it can be for any length of time up to 3 months. So that's what we do in a nutshell. Now the feast, we find it's a great community building event, not only because of who the farmers market reaches out to and the type of community that they invite, but it brings like-minded people together in both areas. And everybody seems to have, I don't know how many, if any of you have attended, it's a great deal of fun. People look forward to it now every year and ask us about when it's coming. This year, we're going to have a really interesting combination of chefs that are helping. Usually we have one person that's been helping us every year. She now has a little restaurant of her own in Owen Sound, so she's not able to do all of the work, but we've got local chefs, 4 of them, that are helping out, each with, and possibly 5, each with a dish for 100 to 125 people. And so we're thinking of making it almost like a tasting event with stations where instead of having the, line-up buffet, it could be just, we haven't really come to terms with that yet, but we do have 4, possibly 5 chefs helping us out with this. Marion from the Farmers Market is going to approach Georgian Hills, I believe, to see if they would like to do wine and cider, and I believe we would just leave that entirely up to them, because it's a little complicated to start getting involved with licensing and stuff like that. We are trying to get a raffle license. I have been not able so far to reach the person in the municipality who I have to reach to give me details on that, but I've got calls in and I'm waiting to hear back. And musicians, we're going to, we always have music, and we're not sure who it's going to be this year, but we'll have some really talented local musicians. What we struggled with a little bit over time is ticket sales, which I think is a big problem for anybody that doesn't really know how to do it. And so what we've decided to do this year, rather than rely on all of our volunteers to get out there and push them, we're also going to, I've signed on with Ticketfly, which is Eventbrite. It's online. They help you with advertising. They add a little bit onto the cost of the ticket. We do keep our tickets very affordable. They're $30, and because it's a vegetarian meal, it's easy to keep it at that level, or it's best to keep it at that level. And so in any case, we're going to try the Ticketfly and see how that goes. It's already, I've signed up for it. The tickets haven't started to go on sale yet, but I can see where they help you in promoting. They help you with ideas of how to get it out there. And we've already had a lot of so-called interest online, but that doesn't sometimes amount to much, but it hasn't even started yet. So what we also need to do is, last year we struggled, so where the money's going, because we also get sponsors. We had 3 last year, and we're hoping to get more this year. The money for the farmers market, I can't speak for them, but for our portion of the funds, it funds us year round. So whatever we get that's over and above what we need to run the show is going to be in our bank account for helping people throughout the year. And
what is the date of your event?
The 24th.
Of
August. It's a Saturday. It runs from 5:30 till 9 o'clock. Is there anything maybe I should just let you guys
Yeah,
ask?
let's just ask some questions, if Deputy Mayor. No, it's before that.
We're trying to kind of get between things. August is a tough time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your presentation, Joyce.
Thank you.
The issue here is we are not supporting the Smile Animal Society, you're requesting money to support the event
Yes.
itself?
Yes.
Okay. All right, questions from anybody? My question was what the ticket price was, $30, and as a fundraising organization or a fundraising event, that should cover all of your expenses for that event. So that ticket price, you think, does it?
Well, I guess I struggle a little bit with understanding where everything's supposed to go, because yes, I haven't actually looked at it from that angle. What we're looking at a total income for what we can gather together and what's left afterwards for us to distribute between the two groups. I haven't, if we have $30 and I have the expenditures here actually, at let's say 100 tickets, it'd be what, 3,000? Yep, that would cover the expenses.
Well, I think that's the first thing, is that when you're organizing a special event, is that you have a direct budget for that special event that does cover your costs and then builds in your, whatever you expect to donate to your cause or whatever. But you have to cover your expenses with the cost of your ticket. Councillor Kentner?
Your Worship, and whereabouts is the
At the
event?
Meaford Harbor Pavilion.
Oh, it is, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind in the figures because of the person who's our treasurer is going through a lot of difficulties right now, and I haven't been able to get the numbers exactly as I need them, sorry. But I have as much as I can.
Super. Thank you, Joyce.
Okay.
Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Good luck with this,
Thank you. It will be a success.
one way or the other. Okay. And last but certainly not least for this afternoon, we welcome the United Way.
I don't have to be anywhere until 6, so we're good.
Oh, please, no.
No. I also have Nadia from Grey County Housing with me as well, just in case there are
Hi,
questions
Nadia.
around our proposal. So Grey County has a wonderful resource center at Victoria Village and engages both with the residents of Grey County Housing there as well as those on Paul Street. And they did some empowerment workshops with their tenants and the residents of Meaford that are living there as to what they'd like to see next for their community. What would they like to do? And part of that feedback was, we all have skills, and we want to share our skills with our neighbors, with our community on a broad sense. So the proposal we brought before you today is to run a series of workshops for a year. There'd be an honorarium for the person running the workshop, and then there'd be a budget to cover any costs associated with it. So right now, there's somebody in one of the residents there who is really good at fixing bikes, and is often doing that for the kids in the neighborhood. Well, we want to get her out there teaching the kids how to fix their bikes and having some tools so they can learn how to do it themselves, so they have those skills going forward. You know, another one's really good at doing that French braiding and doing your hair, so you don't have to go to the hairdresser, you can do it yourself. And so we want to take the skills and the opportunities of the people that are residents and tenants of Meaford in Grey County Housing and celebrate their skill set. Have them teach and share out and potentially look at, again, you know, what they offer their community. So we're looking for support to run this project over the 4 years. It's $1,400 a year. It's 4 workshops. It's an honorarium for the presenters so that they are, you know, compensated just as, you know, I get paid to be at work. And then a budget for any tools or consumables that are part of that workshop that they can deliver out to that. And then over the 4 years of what you've asked us to present on, and empower that community to build on their skill sets going forward. And that's it in a nutshell. And it's
short and
just
sweet.
short and sweet. And that's what, you know, we as the United Way, we work with all our partners around issues of empowering low-income people in their communities, building resiliency through their own skill sets.
Great. Thank you so much for your presentation. Questions from anyone on this? Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Francisca. These workshops, how long would they be?
They could be an afternoon, that kind of, they could be an evening. It would depend on the subject. So if somebody, for example, was really good at baking bread, that's going to be, a couple of hours. If it's a gardening, that can be an afternoon. So it would be, 2 to 4 to 6 hours at the most. It would really be based on what they wanted to know. And so if we were able to run this bike repair workshop, we may then reach out to, say, Grey County OPP and say, come in and do some bike rodeos all in that same day and make it all bikes all day on a Saturday or something like that. We build on it.
So who would be invited to come to the workshops?
It would be open to,
The-
ideally, we'd be inviting the residents who live there, so there's 16 homes, there's 12 on Hall Street. And then if other people wanted to attend, there wouldn't be a problem with that. We could advertise it in other places. I know like the Anglican Church has their meal, they're happy to say these are the workshops that are happening. But ideally, it's trying to really promote that skill-based and asset-based for our communities. Try and build them up.
So the money would be for supplies or?
Yep. Yeah, it would be those consumable pieces. So if we're doing a bike repair thing, brake pads, brake lines, and some, a toolkit of bike tool wrenches and things. That's the word I'm looking for, wrenches.
Okay. Great. Okay, Councillor Greenfield.
Thanks, Francesca. You mentioned four locations, 4 workshops?
4 workshops a year.
And they would be scattered around the area, like as far as the locations are concerned?
There's a resource center at Victoria Village. One of the units is a resource center, so they'd be out of the resource center. Certainly if something was major, if like we were doing bread baking and we wanted to use a kitchen and needed a bigger commercial kitchen, we could probably talk to one of the churches about that. But it would be based on what it is and what space is needed to run that workshop.
There you go. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry. Councillor Kentner.
Through your worship, Francesca, will the program go ahead if you don't get the grant?
I'm not sure. Life takes money. Probably not in this year, certainly, but having pulled this together, I'm going to go find some. So I'm starting here. You asked us and invited us, and we really appreciate that opportunity to come and bring this idea to you. And we continue to look for opportunities to fund this going forward.
Francesca, does this exist anywhere else?
Not in this format.
No?
So this would be a great pilot project to see how it works. I know Alpha Street in Owen Sound has a resource center as well, and certainly in other complexes of social housing that's out there. If we tried this here and it worked really, really well, we as the United Way would totally get behind and roll this out through all of those resource centers throughout the 2 counties.
Okay.
Because when you get going on things like this and everybody gets empowered and then we're taking the people from Meaford over to the people in Hanover to go, hey, this is the person who fixes all the bikes in Meaford, and then, it just goes from there.
Super. Thanks so much for
Thank
your
you.
presentation. Thanks, ladies. All right. That brings to a close this afternoon's list. This went really, really well. Chris, thank you for your attention to making it run smoothly, giving us all the background information. Do you want, I guess we'll wait until tomorrow before we get the composite numbers and so on. That's the best idea? Okay. All righty. That it is, are no restrictions to what is included in this. This is we've heard from the clerk to say that it's not necessarily fee waivers. We will not be granting fee waivers, but they will be given an amount of money that could include rent for whatever they have to provide. So it's not necessarily a fee waiver for location, but rather whatever money is there, they have to spend on rent or on a location. Okay? That's clear, is it? That's the way the bylaw and the process is set up. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Everyone?
Just can we
ladies and
officially
gentlemen?
move out of committee of the whole? I
And
apologize.
we need to get out of here. There's my agenda. And move to get out of committee of the whole. Is that where we're at? Thank you. Councillor Greenfield seconded. Councillor Kentner, all in favor? And that is carried. And having finished this afternoon's workload, I declare the meeting adjourned. So let's hope tomorrow goes as quickly. A lot of music this time.